Chapter 927. Sword Dao Formation Kill. Qinguqiu pushed his sword Dao intent to the extreme and controlled the sword Dao formation with the flying snow sword as the core and the 16 pseudo-Dao swords as support as it charged toward Yi Qinfeng. Watermark advertisement test. Watermark advertisement test. In the face of the sword Dao formation's attack, Yi Qinfeng didn't dodge. Instead, he pushed his speed to the limit and charged straight into the sword Dao formation. "You're courting death." Killing intent flashed in Qinguqiu's eyes as he controlled the sword Dao formation to attack Yi Qinfeng. The pseudo-Dao swords transformed into tens of thousands of sword lights that attacked Yi Qinfeng from all angles. He wanted to use the power of the sword Dao to tear Yi Qinfeng apart and kill him. However, Yi Qinfeng's body was comparable to a mid-grade Dao artifact and was extremely tough. Qinguqiu's sword Dao formation couldn't penetrate his body and kill him. 7 Swords of Judgment, heaven-shattering. Relying on his physical body to defend against the attacks of the sword Dao formation, Yi Qinfeng slashed out with his sword. The sword Dao will of the 9th level evolved into the Sword of Heaven's Destruction, which carried with it a boundless destructive power. It was like a spatial crack that constantly cracked open as it slashed down on the sword of flowing light and flying snow that controlled the core of the formation. Boom! The sword principal array shook violently. Cracks began to appear on the surface of the sword principal array, spreading rapidly in all directions. Sword Dao formation reverse slash. Qinguqiu was shocked to see that his sword Dao formation couldn't injure Yi Qinfeng. He immediately spat out several mouthfuls of blood essence and fused them into the sword Dao formation, increasing its power and suppressing Yi Qinfeng's attack. The spectators in the stands saw Yi Qinfeng being swallowed by the tens of thousands of sword lights, and they couldn't help but cry out in alarm. Just looking at such a terrifying attack made their hearts skip a beat. Roar, roar, roar. Just as many people were worried for Yi Qinfeng, a series of earth-shattering dragon roars rang out. Yi Qinfeng summoned his spiritual beast, the Blood Dragon Emperor, and charged into the sky. The terrifying dragon aura caused the entire sword Dao formation to tremble violently, and a large number of sword lights were shattered by the Blood Dragon Emperor. Dragon, why is there a dragon in the sword Dao formation? What's going on? That blood dragon can't be He Yan's spiritual beast, right? Many powerful experts with keen eyes saw through the Blood Dragon Emperor's disguise and gulped as they spoke. It's him, it's really him. He Yan was the one who had almost killed them. He was the one they had encountered in the ancient herb garden. He Yan was the one that they had almost killed. He. Especially Overlord Sword, who revealed a look of lingering fear. He had a feeling that if Yi Qinfeng didn't want to reveal his identity too early, he would have already died when he stood up for Luo Ho to challenge Yi Qinfeng. Dragon Bloodline Ignition, Beast Soul Form. Yi Qinfeng instantly fused with the Blood Dragon Emperor and increased his soul power by 7 times. He pushed the power of his sword Dao to the extreme, and the power of his 5 acupoints exploded as he attacked the flying snow sword that controlled the sword Dao formation. Boom, boom, boom. Yi Qinfeng's explosive attacks continuously clashed violently with the sword Dao formation. The wanton explosive attacks shattered the light swords of Dao that were attacking from all directions. In the next moment, the sword soul hidden in Yi Qinfeng's soul sea fused with the Emperor Sky Sword, and Yi Qinfeng slashed out with a sword that seemed to rule the world. It tore apart the sword lights that were coming at him at an extremely fast speed and struck the flying snow sword. Crack! A crisp cracking sound was heard. The flowing light flying snow sword was cracked by the Empyrean celestial sword, and the sword formation that Qinguqiu set up with the flowing light flying snow sword as the core was broken. Yi Qinfeng broke through the formation like a peerless sword. With the sword Dao formation broken, Qingu was slightly affected, and Yi Qinfeng took this opportunity to close in on him. Qi! The Emperor Sky Sword pierced through the air, and it pierced through Chingu's chest like a hot knife through butter. When Chingu summoned the flying snow sword to defend himself, an unimaginable power knocked the flying snow sword away. Yi Chunfeng's 3 fused Dao intents quickly gathered and formed a small square seal that smashed into Chingu's chest. Life and death Dao intent defend. At the critical moment, Chingu used the life and death Dao intent to block the small square seal that was filled with innate Dao patterns. Boom! The 4 Dao intents clashed, and Chingu's life and death Dao intent was shattered. However, Chingu was quick to react, and he took this opportunity to dodge the remaining power of the small square seal. Chingu's dodging speed was fast, but Yi Chunfeng was even faster. He appeared in front of Chingu in an instant and slashed 6 times at Chingu's body. Wind Dao intent, extreme speed. In the face of danger, Chingu's body swayed slightly, and he turned into a gust of wind to dodge Yi Chunfeng's attack. Sky Demon Chains, Space Lock. Yi Chunfeng's pupils shrank, and his deep gaze locked onto Chingu. 4 ghost chains that were as thick as arms broke out of his body and sealed off Chingu's escape route. Emperor's Shocking Heaven Slash. While Chingu's movement was restricted, Yi Chunfeng ignited the Emperor's Sky Sword Spirit and used the power of the Sword Spirit to slash at Chingu. If Chingu was hit by this attack, he would undoubtedly be severely injured, and his combat power would be greatly reduced. Cloud Treading Boots, Extreme Speed. At this critical moment, a pair of dark golden boots with wings appeared beneath Chingu's feet, and his movement speed soared once again. In the blink of an eye, he broke through the heavenly demon chains and evaded the Emperor's heaven-shocking slash. A mobile Dao treasure. I didn't expect you to have such a treasure. Yi Chunfeng was surprised when he saw Chingu's cloud treading boot. This was the first time he had seen a Dao treasure that could amplify one's speed. Hey Yin, even defeating armies was unable to force me to use my Dao treasure. Even if you lose, you should be proud of yourself, Chingu said gloomily as he looked at Yi Chunfeng. Haha, a Dao treasure has given you so much confidence? Yi Chunfeng laughed loudly. He took out the ancient instant mirror that he had borrowed from the King of Massacre and let it float above his head. He did not hide the contempt in his eyes. Die. A vicious light flashed across Chingu's eyes as he activated his cloud treading boots and increased his movement speed to the maximum. He left afterimages in the air as he launched a series of rapid attacks at Yi Chunfeng. The speed of the cloud treading boots was too fast for the naked eye to follow. However, Yi Chunfeng did not panic. He closed his eyes and controlled his God-Eater brain to calculate Chingu's movement speed. He dodged Chingu's attacks as he dodged. Ancient Instant Mirror Attack. Yi Chunfeng dodged Chingu's attacks with ease. Under Yi Chunfeng's control, the Ancient Instant Mirror continuously attacked Chingu's movements. The entire space was distorted by the Ancient Instant Mirror's attack. As time passed, Yi Chunfeng was not injured by Chingu's attacks. On the other hand, Chingu, who was moving at an astonishing speed, was hit by the Ancient Instant Mirror time and time again. Blood spurted out of his mouth. Demonic Puppet. Chingu felt that his injuries were getting worse and worse while Yi Chunfeng was unharmed. This made him so angry that his lungs were about to explode. With a thought, he summoned his trump card, the Demonic Puppet, which was comparable to a level 6 Beast Emperor. What? You can't help but use your trump card? Looking at the Devil Puppet with its overwhelming demonic aura and terrifying strength, the corners of Yi Chunfeng's mouth curled up. He said fearlessly, coincidentally, I also have a clone. Let's compete and see whose clone is stronger. As he spoke, Yi Chunfeng summoned the Sword Puppet and ordered it to attack the Demonic Puppet under the gazes of countless people. Some of the characters in Bahuang have been posted. Those who want to see them can add us on WeChat, YLTY83 mobile reading website, book address. To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this book. You will be able to see it the next time you open your bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 928. Boom! The sword spirit puppet and the devil puppet collided like Mars crashing into Earth, erupting with world-shaking energy. Like a violent wave, it swept out in all directions. Not only did the indestructible sword puppet not fall into a disadvantageous position, it even relied on its powerful physical body to resist the destructive shockwave and attacked the demon puppet with its 2 Dao weapons. So you obtained that supreme-grade Dao skill. Qinggu Qiu raised his eyebrows when he saw the sword puppet summoned by Yi Chunfeng. He recognized the sword puppet as the person who had snatched the extreme Dao of life and death in front of everyone. According to the situation at that time, the extreme Dao of life and death should have belonged to him. That's right, I obtained the extreme Dao of life and death. You're definitely not from the true demon's tribe. Yi Chunfeng nodded. When he thought of the hidden hand in the extreme Dao of life and death, he guessed that Qinggu Qiu was not from the true demon's tribe. Otherwise, he would not have snatched the problematic extreme Dao of life and death. Hey Yen, it seems that the grudge between you and me is already set in stone. Since that's the case, let's decide the victor today. Qinggu Qiu quickly swallowed a high-quality pill to stabilize the injuries caused by the ancient instant mirror. Then, he continued to attack Yi Chunfeng with the flying snow sword. So he was the one who did all of this. Sha Bingyun glared fiercely at Yi Chunfeng, who was fighting fiercely with Qinggu Qiu. If not for the fact that she was restrained by the 9th level of the Heaven Staircase and couldn't enter, she would have already led Xingluo Heaven City's experts to the 9th level of the Heaven Staircase and suppressed Yi Chunfeng. He Yin hid his strength too well. Perhaps Qinggu Qiu is going to suffer a great loss. Pejun, Rintu, and the others were shocked. They realized that they could not see through Yi Chunfeng at all. His methods were completely beyond their imagination. Qinggu Qiu, didn't you want that supreme-grade Dao skill? Today, I will fulfill your wish and let you experience the power of that top-grade Dao skill. After exchanging several thousand blows with Qinggu Qiu in an extremely short period of time, Yi Chunfeng suddenly transformed his Dao intent of life and death to the extreme, transforming it into a Dao disc of life and death. The Dao disc of life and death was imbued with the power of the extreme Dao, and it shattered all obstacles in its path as it hurtled toward Qinggu Qiu. Boom! The extreme life and death Dao collided with Qinggu Qiu's killer move. Terrifying shockwaves swept out like meteors crashing into each other. Amidst the boundless waves of wind and waves, Qinggu Qiu felt as if all of his trump cards were being shattered. A burst of unimaginable Dao intent of life and death crashed into his body, sending him flying as a large amount of blood gushed out of his mouth. Injured? Qinggu Qiu was injured by He Yen? Is he really going to lose? All of Qinggu Qiu's techniques are countered by He Yen. If he doesn't have any other tricks up his sleeve, then it's only a matter of time before he loses. After witnessing the scene of Qinggu Qiu being sent flying by Yi Chunfeng's extreme life and death Dao, the quiet spectator stands erupted into an uproar once again. Everyone expressed their opinions and speculated about the outcome of the battle. 7 Swords of Judgment, Eclipse. Yi Chunfeng didn't give Qinggu Qiu a chance to catch his breath. Stepping forward, he tore through the storm of destruction as he closed in on Qinggu Qiu. Then, he slashed out a crimson sword of light that was as bright as the sun. It slashed toward Qinggu Qiu's body with an unstoppable sword might. PFFF. Struck by the sword of eclipse, Qinggu Qiu was sent flying again, leaving behind a cloud of blood in the air. A large amount of blood seeped out of his body, dyeing him red. Myriad Sword Dao. Even though he was injured, Qinggu Qiu didn't give up. He pushed his Tao intent of sword, Tao intent of life and death, and Tao intent of wind to the extreme. He formed a myriad of swords of light around him, and attacked Yi Chunfeng in unison. What? You still want to fight like a trapped beast? Facing Qin Guqiu's myriad swords of light, Yi Chunfeng pushed his Tao intent to the extreme. He pierced through space with his sword, shattering the myriad of swords as he stabbed toward Qin Guqiu's throat. Myriad sword Tao unite. Yi Chunfeng's unstoppable attack caused Qin Guqiu to immediately fuse the myriad of swords of light together. He wanted to send Yi Chunfeng flying with the force of heaven and earth. Yi Chunfeng's sword struck the fused swords of light, and his physical strength erupted. 8 halos of light appeared behind him, continuously increasing his attack power. He pierced through the myriad of swords of light and stabbed toward Qin Guqiu, whose expression changed slightly. He was forced to use his cloud treading boots to dodge. 8 Sha Azura Art. This Heiyan is from Xingluo Heavenly City. The 8 Sha Azura Art was a secret technique of Xingluo Heavenly City that was never taught to outsiders. Only true disciples had the qualifications to comprehend it. Therefore, when they saw Yi Chunfeng condense 8 halos of light, many people mistakenly thought that he was from Xingluo Heavenly City. How can he know the 8 Sha Azura Art? When Yi Chunfeng condensed 8 halos of light, Sha Bingyun and Sha Renjie revealed looks of disbelief. They couldn't figure out where Yi Chunfeng had learned the 8 Sha Azura Art. This Heiyan must be captured. Sha Bingyun made up her mind. After witnessing Yi Chunfeng's various methods, she had a feeling that if she couldn't eliminate Yi Chunfeng, he would become a huge threat to Xingluo Heavenly City sooner or later. Stun Art. When Qin Guqiu used his cloud treading boots to dodge, Yi Chunfeng continuously used the stun art to attack his soul, disrupting his movement speed and forcing him to focus on defending against his attack. As time passed, Qin Guqiu's injuries worsened. On the other hand, the devil puppet was completely suppressed by the sword puppet. A large number of sword wounds appeared on the devil puppet's body. Qin Guqiu, you have no chance. With Qin Guqiu completely suppressed, Yi Chunfeng summoned the Vermilion Bird Cauldron, which had been upgraded to an ancient Tao treasure. He was going to borrow the power of the Vermilion Bird Cauldron to defeat Qin Guqiu. Is this another Gu Dao treasure? Rentu, Yufeng, and the others widened their eyes when they saw the Vermilion Bird Cauldron above Yi Chunfeng's head. They didn't expect that Yi Chunfeng still had a trump card that he hadn't used yet. Heiyan, I've already said that the final victor will be me. No matter how many Gu Dao treasures you have, you won't be able to defeat me. In order to reach the 9th level of the Heaven Staircase, he had to obtain what he wanted. Qin Guqiu gritted his teeth and decided to use his final trump card. This was the first time he had used this trump card, and he wasn't sure if he could control it. However, at this moment, he couldn't care less. In order to defeat Yi Chunfeng, he had to give it his all. Heavenly Race Soul, release the seal. Qin Guqiu used an ancient secret technique to release the seal on his body. Following that, a power that made Yi Chunfeng feel suffocated awakened in his body. This power was so strong that it caused the entire space to tremble violently. If not for the fact that the 9th level of the Heaven Staircase was too strong, this power would have caused the entire space to collapse. What a powerful soul! Could it be that there's a powerful soul hidden in Qin Guqiu's body? Yi Chunfeng's soul was extremely powerful, and he could faintly feel that there was a powerful soul sealed in Qin Guqiu's body that didn't belong to this space. Heiyan, it's over. Let me send you to the afterlife. Qin Guqiu's strength had risen to a whole new level after fusing with the powerful soul in his body. He didn't waste any time and let out an earth-shattering roar as he charged towards Yi Chunfeng. Facing Qin Guqiu, who had unraveled the greatest secret of his body, Yi Chunfeng faced an unprecedented challenge. Mobile reading site, book address, To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this book. You will be able to see it the next time you open your bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 929. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion shook the heavens. Qingu clashed with Yi Chenfeng, and the resulting shockwave caused the space around them to crack. Deng deng deng. After taking Qingu attack head-on, Yi Chenfeng lost control of his body, and he stumbled back 3 steps before stabilizing himself. Hey Yen, let me send you on your way. Qingu eyes had turned blood-red, and his face was distorted. His awakened strength was growing stronger, and he charged at Yi Chenfeng again, not giving him a chance to catch his breath. Dragon Heart Fusion, True Dragon Transformation. With his attack suppressed by Qingu, Yi Chenfeng immediately fused with the power of the Dragon Heart and raised his dragon power to the peak. He transformed into an invincible blood dragon that roiled through the void as he charged toward Qingu at an extremely fast speed. The terrifying True Dragon's power directly shattered Qingu killing move. Like a meteor, it slammed into his body and sent him flying, shattering the armor on his chest. Dragon! He Yen can actually transform into a dragon. Is he not a human, but a dragon clan expert from the ancient times? He Yen has many tricks up his sleeve, but Qingu seems to have used some unknown secret. I wonder who will have the last laugh. No matter who wins, they will laugh proudly in Xingluo Sky City, and this battle will be passed down for generations to come. Thinking that they were witnessing an unprecedented battle, the spectators couldn't help but become excited. They took out their memory stones and memorized the scene of Yi Chenfeng and Qingu battle. Tao Diagram of Life and Death, Exterminate. Qingu resisted the attack of the True Dragon Transformation with the help of his soul. Blood trickled down from the corner of his mouth as a large number of Tao patterns of life and death shot out from behind him. They formed a terrifying Tao diagram of life and death that shot toward Yi Chenfeng. Boom boom boom. Following a series of explosions, Yi Chenfeng was sent flying by Qingu Tao diagram of life and death. If not for the fact that his physical body was comparable to a mid-grade Tao artifact, this attack would have destroyed his physical body. Father, can you see through Qingu? With his strength, how can he condense a Tao diagram? Sha Bingyun was shocked to see Qingu Tao diagram of life and death, and she hurriedly transmitted her voice to him. Qingu is also hiding a great secret, and he's not a member of the True Demon Clan. I haven't been able to identify him yet, Sha Tianyao, who had been hiding in the shadows, replied. Just as Sha Bingyun was shocked by Qingu methods, her beautiful eyes suddenly widened, and her expressionless face revealed an expression of having seen a ghost. This was because she discovered that a Tao diagram had also condensed above Yi Chenfeng's head. It was releasing boundless sword intent, riddling the entire void with thousands of holes. Tao diagrams. Their comprehension of Tao insights is actually so deep. The prideful Pejun looked at the Tao diagrams hanging above Yi Chenfeng and Qingu with a complicated expression. Even though he didn't want to admit it, he knew that there was still a huge gap between his strength and talent. He truly didn't have the qualifications to challenge the 9th level of the heaven rank. Hey Yen, you're giving me more and more surprises. I didn't think that you would be able to cultivate your sword Tao to the pinnacle stage and condense a sword Tao diagram. Qingu said with a gloomy expression. However, no matter how powerful you are, you won't be able to change the outcome of your defeat. External forces are still external forces. I'll let you know that you have to rely on your own strength. Your crooked methods won't be able to turn the tide, Yi Chenfeng said with a prideful smile as he controlled the sword Tao diagram to blast toward Qingu. Life and Death Tao diagram, destroy. The sword Tao diagram rotated at an extremely fast speed, and the intertwining sword-based Dao inscriptions shot toward Qinguqiu. Qinguqiu immediately drew upon the mysterious power hidden within his body to control the life and death Dao diagram to meet the onslaught head-on. The dense patterns of the great Dao collided violently with one another, and the entire space was instantly plunged into chaos as a terrifying storm of Dao insights battered the two of them. However, Yi Chunfeng's physical body was far superior to Qinguqiu's, and he was able to withstand the storm of Dao insights. On the other hand, Qinguqiu's injuries continued to worsen, and he was on the verge of collapsing. "Selim, kill him for me." Qinguqiu gritted his teeth as the life and death Dao diagram was unable to withstand the attacks of the sword Dao diagram. He didn't hesitate to exhaust all of his blood essence to forcefully summon the Selim hidden within his body. Whoa! A bone-chilling wail sounded from within Qinguqiu's body as an old, ferocious face appeared on Qinguqiu's body. It spat out a torrent of soul light toward Yi Chunfeng in an attempt to kill him. "I've been waiting for you." Yi Chunfeng had already discovered the terrifying soul hidden within Qinguqiu's body, and he controlled the sword soul hidden within the sword Dao diagram to slash toward it. The sword soul soared into the air, and it seemed to be capable of destroying the entire space around it. It severed the pillars of the world and tore apart the torrent of soul attacks. In the face of this unstoppable sword attack, the Selim sensed a strong sense of danger, and it gathered all of its strength to retaliate. However, the sword soul was far too powerful, and the sword light it transformed into sliced through the Selim, causing Qinguqiu to suffer an extremely severe backlash. Sword Dao diagram, exterminate. Yi Chunfeng continued to control the sword Dao diagram to attack after the Selim was sliced apart by the sword soul. A dense array of sword Dao inscriptions shot toward the severely injured Qinguqiu. He wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to kill his enemy. With his life hanging by a thread, Qinguqiu controlled the life and death Dao diagram to block the attacks of the sword Dao diagram while forcefully reforming his Selim to attack Yi Chunfeng. However, under the sword soul's relentless attacks, the Selim was repeatedly sliced apart. Gradually, Qinguqiu's injuries became more and more severe, and he no longer had the strength to reform his Selim. Just as Qinguqiu was about to be killed by Yi Chunfeng's sword Dao diagram, the Selim suddenly stirred up from the 9th level of the heaven staircase. In the next instant, the tranquil 9th level of the heaven staircase suddenly became restless. 3 streaks of white light descended like violent dragons, enveloping Qinguqiu, who was on the brink of death. The devil puppet, who was being completely suppressed by the sword spirit puppet, and the severely injured heavenly soul, all disappeared from the 8th level of the heaven staircase. Such a bizarre scene shocked the entire audience, and all of them widened their eyes in shock as they searched for Qinguqiu's whereabouts. After Qinguqiu's mysterious disappearance, a large amount of heaven and earth energy immediately gushed out from the 8th level of the heaven staircase and fused into Yi Chunfeng's body. It rapidly healed his injuries, replenished his exhausted soul power, and increased his strength. After about 2 hours, Yi Chunfeng had completely refined the heaven and earth energy in his body. He looked at the 9th level of the heaven staircase that had taken Qinguqiu away with a grave expression, and he vaguely guessed the identity of the heavenly soul. Even though he felt that there was a high chance that something might happen to him when he challenged the 9th level of the heaven staircase, he was not afraid. Sword inscriptions appeared beneath his feet, and he stepped through the void toward the 9th level of the heaven staircase to accept the final test. Mobile reading site, book address. To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the bookmark button at the bottom to record your reading history. You will be able to see it the next time you open your bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blogs, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 930. Father, why did Qinguqiu suddenly disappear? Does he have something to do with the secret of the heaven staircase? Seeing Qinguqiu disappear, Sha Bingyun immediately sent a message to Sha Tianyao, who was knowledgeable and knew many ancient secrets. Yes, the mysterious soul in Qinguqiu's body is most likely the soul of a sky race powerhouse. When he was on the verge of death, the sky race's soul must have used a secret technique to send him to the heavenly tomb above the heaven staircase, Sha Tianyao said solemnly. The soul of a sky race powerhouse. Qinguqiu actually had such a fortuitous encounter. Sha Bingyun frowned. The heavenly tomb could be said to be the biggest secret of the Star All-Heaven City. In the long history of the city, only a few people had entered it. Regardless of whether it was Sha Tianyao or Sha Bingyun, they were unable to pass the 9 levels of the heavenly tomb and enter. I also did not expect Qinguqiu to be recognized by the soul of a sky race powerhouse. With his talent and strength, he might be able to bring out something unexpected from the heavenly tomb. He might even be able to obtain the supreme inheritance inside, Sha Tianyao said in a low voice. Father, if Qinguqiu really does bring out a treasure from the heavenly tomb, should we snatch it? Sha Bingyun asked with a frown. No matter who it is, I will not let them live to take away the treasure from the heavenly tomb. Sha Tianyao said slowly, a ruthless light flashing in his eyes. Spatial restriction, break. Yi Chunfeng walked to the edge of the heaven staircase's restriction and broke it with a punch. Under the respectful gazes of the crowd, he stepped onto the heaven staircase. The instant Yi Chunfeng stepped onto the 9th step of the heaven stair steps, he discovered that the scene before him changed. In the boundless void, a towering stele engraved with dark golden words and shrouded in clouds appeared. A suffocating spatial pressure that could crush a supreme-grade heaven artifact was released from the Tao stele. It pressed down on Yi Chunfeng's body with an earth-shattering force. Facing the pressure of the golden Tao tablet, Yi Chunfeng straightened his back like a steel spear. His deep eyes were filled with fearlessness. It was as if even the collapse of the heavens and the earth would not be able to make him change his expression. Is this Tao stele the final test of the heaven staircase? Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath as he felt the golden Tao stele filled with heavenly Tao energy. Sword runes appeared under his feet as he stepped onto the stele to challenge it. At the same time, the entire spectator stands were in an uproar. That was because the spectators in the spectator stands had discovered that the light barrier was a complete mess. They couldn't see the scene on the 9th step of the heaven stair, and they couldn't witness the process of Yi Chunfeng challenging the 9th step of the heaven stair. Shut the hell up. If anyone makes any more noise, I'll throw them out immediately. Amidst the clamor, Sharanjiao stood at the center of the arena and issued a warning in a deep voice. At this time, arm-thick bolts of heavenly lightning surged out of the Tao stele. They were like roaring flood dragons, sealing the space and bombarding Yi Chunfeng. Yi Chunfeng did not dodge the attacks of the Tao stele. He allowed the bolts of heavenly lightning to strike his body. Sword runes appeared under his feet as he stepped on the void and approached the Tao stele. As Yi Chunfeng got closer and closer to the Tao stele, the lightning surging out of the Tao stele transformed into a sea that completely engulfed Yi Chunfeng. It kept destroying his body, wanting to kill him. Sword spirit, open the path for me. Intense pain came from his skin as the pressure on his body increased. Yi Chunfeng summoned his sword spirit and ordered it to tear through the void, creating cracks in the sea of lightning that was attacking him. The sword spirit's attack was extremely frightening. However, the heavenly lightning in the thunder ocean was endless. It attacked Yi Chunfeng from all directions and attacked his body. Gradually, large amounts of bloody wounds appeared on Yi Chunfeng's mid-grade Tao artifact body. Blood flowed out uncontrollably. As the injuries on his body worsened, Yi Chunfeng did not strengthen his body's defenses. Instead, he controlled the Chaos Divine Wood to devour the heavenly lightning and provide enough energy for the final fusion of the two ancient heavenly lightning. 800 feet, 600 feet, 300 feet. When Yi Chunfeng was 20 feet away from the heavenly Tao steel, the heavenly lightning surging out of the heavenly Tao steel turned black. The grade of the heavenly lightning had also increased to ancient heavenly lightning, posing a great threat to Yi Chunfeng. What kind of secret is hidden in these 9 heaven steels? Yi Chunfeng thought back to how Qinggu Qiu had been teleported into the 9 heaven steels and disappeared. He guessed that these 9 heaven steels definitely hid a secret that he did not know. And this secret was most likely related to the heavenly race's inheritance. Devour. Faced with the endless barrage of ancient heavenly lightning, Yi Chunfeng continued to take the risk of controlling the chaos divine wood to devour the ancient heavenly lightning and accelerate the transformation of the 2 ancient heavenly lightning. Although the process of the chaos divine wood devouring the ancient heavenly lightning was excruciating for Yi Chunfeng, his heart of martial arts was strong enough to endure this inhumane agony. As for the sword soul, not only did it not shatter under the barrage of ancient heavenly lightning, it also underwent a continuous transformation under the baptism of the ancient heavenly lightning. Finally, Yi Chunfeng bathed in the sea of ancient heavenly lightning for more than an hour. After absorbing enough energy, the 2 ancient heavenly lightning fused together and underwent a qualitative transformation. A faint purple light shone from the chaos divine wood, and a brand new ball of lightning slowly took shape. Although the ball of faint purple lightning nurtured by the chaos divine wood looked very weak, the destructive power it contained was more than 10 times greater than the ancient heavenly lightning. Purple beginnings, holy lightning. When Yi Chunfeng silently sensed the newly formed lightning in the chaos divine wood, the information about this ball of lightning appeared in his mind. This was a ball of nascent holy lightning that surpassed the ancient heavenly lightning. The holy lightning only existed in the heavenly domain. It could be said that Yi Chunfeng had created a miracle by condensing the holy lightning. Let's use this tablet of Heaven's Way to test the power of the purple beginnings holy lightning. Yi Chunfeng, whose flesh was split open by the ancient heavenly lightning, opened his eyes. He soared into the sky like a huge bird and quickly approached the tablet of Heaven's Way. His action had completely ignited the ancient heavenly lightning. The ancient heavenly lightning, which was as black as ink, turned into balls of lightning. Like a meteor shower, they bombarded Yi Chunfeng crazily. Purple beginnings holy lightning break. Faced with the attack of the ancient heavenly lightning that could kill a level 4 beast emperor, Yi Chunfeng summoned the chaos divine wood to cover his body. Under the control of his mind, the purple beginnings holy lightning struck the ancient heavenly lightning. Rumble! The purple beginnings holy lightning and the hundreds of balls of lightning clashed together, releasing a destructive power that annihilated the ancient heavenly lightning and tore a huge hole in the chaotic void. The power of the purple beginnings holy lightning is indeed terrifying. I reckon that even a level 5 beast emperor wouldn't be able to withstand its attack. After witnessing the power of the purple beginnings holy lightning, Yi Chunfeng revealed a satisfied expression. He flew out of the hole created by the purple beginnings holy lightning with the sword spirit and arrived at the towering tablet of Heaven's Way that was engraved with dark golden ancient words and ancient patterns. At this moment, the tablet of Heaven's Way released a boundless and majestic power of Heaven's Way, causing the peak of the 9 heavenly steps to tremble. In the next moment, the most terrifying test of the 9 heavenly steps, the tablet of Heaven's Way pressed down with a destructive power, bombarding Yi Chunfeng. The terrifying power caused him to suffocate. Mobile reading site, book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the bookmark button at the bottom to record your reading record. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 931. Beginnings holy lightning break. As the Heaven Tao tablet descended, Yi Chunfeng immediately controlled the beginnings holy lightning to meet it head-on. With its boundless destructive power, it bombarded the Heaven Tao tablet. Watermark advertisement test. Watermark advertisement test. Rumble. Endless thunderous roars resounded in the void, and the terrifying sound reverberated in all directions, causing the entire void to tremble. Dragon bloodline ignition, true dragon transformation. When the holy thunder of beginnings resisted the suppression of the heavenly Tao steel, Yi Chunfeng ignited the power of his dragon bloodline and dragon heart, transforming into an invincible blood dragon that slammed into the heavenly Tao steel in his most powerful form. In that instant, a blinding light illuminated the 9 heavens as Yi Chunfeng's true dragon clashed fiercely with the Heaven Tao tablet. The dark golden ancient words on the Tao tablet lit up one after another, forming a terrifying heaven's might that bombarded Yi Chunfeng's body. Yi Chunfeng executed the true dragon transformation and attacked with all his might for more than 10 breaths. After a crack appeared on the Heaven Tao tablet, his true dragon disintegrated. In the next instant, the Heaven Tao tablet crushed the beginning's holy lightning and ruthlessly bombarded Yi Chunfeng's body, causing Yi Chunfeng to fall from the sky to the 9th level of the Heaven Tao tablet. Pung! Yi Chunfeng heavily smashed into the ground, and a mouthful of blood spurted out from his mouth. What terrifying power, as expected of the Tao tablet that contains the power of the heavenly Tao. Yi Chunfeng quickly drank an entire bottle of returning heaven water to recover his soul power. He soared into the sky and continued to attack the Heaven Tao tablet, wanting to shatter it. The reason why he wanted to shatter the Heaven Tao tablet was because he had a feeling that the Heaven Tao tablet could be the entrance to the mysterious space. He had to shatter it in order to enter the mysterious space and compete with Qinggu Qiu for the great opportunity inside. Heavenly Halberd, Emperor Celestial Sword. In order to shatter the tablet of Heaven Tao, Yi Chunfeng summoned both of his middle-grade Tao treasures. With the Empyrean sword in one hand and the Fangtian halberd in the other, he ferociously attacked the tablet of Heaven Tao. As he attacked, he unleashed the 3 fused Tao meanings to the extreme. His sword soul also fused into the Empyrean Heaven sword and increased the attacking power of the Empyrean Heaven sword. Rumble! Under Yi Chunfeng's all-out attacks, deafening explosions kept echoing in the 9 floors of the heaven steps. Powerful forces kept attacking the spatial restrictions of the 9 floors. Slowly, the spatial restrictions on the 9 levels of the heaven staircase began to crack. The scene of Yi Chunfeng facing the heavenly Tao tablet head-on appeared in the chaotic 4-sided light barrier. Great, there's finally an image. I didn't wait in vain. Looking at the image projected in the light barrier, the atmosphere of the entire spectator stand immediately became heated. Everyone opened their eyes wide and kept searching for Yi Chunfeng's figure. Soon, they discovered Yi Chunfeng, who was brandishing both of his Tao treasures and attacking with all his might under the heavenly Tao steel. He was constantly being annihilated by the destructive storm. At this moment, the blood dragon scales that covered Yi Chunfeng's body were severely damaged. Large amounts of fresh blood flowed out from his bloody body. Although his body was severely injured, Yi Chunfeng didn't slow down his attacks. He was like an invincible god of war, attacking with all his might. He constantly crushed the power of the heavenly Tao that surged out from the tablet of Heaven Tao and tried his best to shatter the tablet of Heaven Tao. That must be the legendary tablet of Heaven Tao. Didn't they say that one would pass the ultimate test if they could withstand the tablet of Heaven Tao for 4 hours? Why is He Yin attacking with all his might? Could it be that he wants to shatter the tablet of Heaven Tao? Seeing Yi Chunfeng wielding both of his Tao treasures and attacking the tablet of Heaven Tao with all his might, the spectators cried out in surprise. Many people were so shocked that their eyeballs almost popped out. While Yi Chunfeng was attacking the tablet of Heaven Tao with all his might, the God-Eater brain was also rapidly deducing the concept of the heavenly Tao contained within the tablet of Heaven Tao. As time went by, an extremely diverse Tao pattern appeared in the God-Eater brain. This Tao pattern was similar to the heavenly Tao pattern. Extreme Tao of life and death. Feeling that the power of the heavenly Tao contained within the tablet of heaven Tao was getting stronger and stronger, Yi Chunfeng, who was under immense pressure, deduced the Tao of life and death to the extreme. He turned it into a Tao disk of life and death and bombarded the tablet of heaven Tao that was full of crack. Under the attack of the supreme grade Tao skill, the extreme Tao of life and death, a crack that almost penetrated 1/3 of the tablet of heaven Tao appeared, causing the entire tablet of heaven Tao to shake violently. Sword Soul, shatter the tablet of heaven Tao. When the huge crack appeared, Yi Chunfeng immediately controlled the Sword Soul to fly into the crack of the tablet of heaven Tao. It released hundreds of sword-type Tao patterns and cracked the tablet of heaven Tao from within. Divine Demon Bloodline Ignite. Success or failure depended on this move. Yi Chunfeng did not hesitate to ignite his Divine Demon Bloodline and executed the Golden Body Art, increasing the defense of his physical body to the greatest extent. Emperor Heavenly Sword Art. Heavenly Demon Dance in all directions. After transforming into his strongest physical body, Yi Chunfeng wielded 2 great Tao treasures and executed powerful Tao skills. He continued to attack ferociously and cooperated with the Sword Soul to shatter the tablet of heaven Tao. Under Yi Chunfeng's relentless attacks, more and more cracks appeared on the tablet of heaven Tao, almost covering the entire tablet of heaven Tao. This He Yen is truly a genius. Such terrifying strength and foundation is truly unimaginable. It seems like he has a high chance of shattering the tablet of heaven Tao and entering the sky tomb. Sha Tianyao, who was hiding in the dark, witnessed the entire process of Yi Chunfeng challenging the tablet of heaven Tao. He could not help but be amazed by Yi Chunfeng's shocking strength. Father, if He Yen enters the sky tomb, who do you think will be able to leave the sky tomb alive? Sha Bingyun asked through a voice transmission. This, although Yi Chunfeng's strength and foundation were superior to Qianguqiu's, Qianguqiu was suspected to have been recognized by the sky race's soul and could borrow external strength. Thus, Sha Tianyao could not say for sure who would have the last laugh. However, in Sha Tianyao's heart, both Yi Chunfeng and Qianguqiu were targets that he had to kill. He would not allow the 2 of them to take away the treasures in the sky tomb alive. Tablet of heaven Tao, shatter for me. Yi Chunfeng sensed that more and more cracks had appeared on the tablet of heavenly Tao. His skin and flesh were torn open, and his flesh was badly mangled. He ignited a powerful qi and blood energy, and his arms erupted with a force of nearly 140 million kilograms. He quickly deduced the will of the heavenly Tao and attacked wildly with the 2 Taoist treasures in his hands. Under the ferocious attacks of his Sword Soul, a large number of cracks penetrated the tablet of heaven Tao, and the ancient words on the Tao treasures dimmed. In the end, Yi Chunfeng, who had pushed his attacks and Tao intent to the limit, used all his means to shatter the tablet of heaven Tao. Boom! The moment the tablet of heaven Tao shattered, an apocalyptic heavenly Tao energy was released from the tablet of heaven Tao. It tore through space and swallowed Yi Chunfeng, who was unable to dodge in time. In an instant, Yi Chunfeng's protective soul power shattered, and the terrifying energy bombarded his body, trying to shatter him. Fortunately, Yi Chunfeng's body was strong enough to withstand the destructive attack released by the explosion of the tablet of heaven Tao. While he was withstanding the destructive power, nearly 10 heavenly Tao runes were imprinted on Yi Chunfeng's flesh. Heavens, the tablet of heaven Tao was really shattered by him. Is this guy really human? The moment the tablet of heaven Tao shattered, the audience in the stands went crazy. They almost couldn't believe what they were seeing. They wanted to know if Yi Chunfeng was killed by the explosion of the tablet of heaven Tao. Just as the entire stands fell into chaos, a black hole appeared at the top of the 9th level of the heaven staircase. The entrance to the heavenly mausoleum that had not appeared for tens of thousands of years had appeared. In the next moment, a bloody shadow tore through the broken void like an invincible divine sword and disappeared into the black hole. Mobile reading site, book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the Collect button below to record this reading record. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 932. It was desolate, silent, and filled with an oppressive aura. Watermark advertisement test. Watermark advertisement test. When Yi Chunfeng entered the dusky heavenly mausoleum, he felt extremely uncomfortable. The soul power in his body was constantly being suppressed. It was as if he could not integrate into this world, and was restrained everywhere. There's something wrong with the spatial laws here. Could this be the heavenly race's ruins? Could the heavenly race's inheritance be hidden here? Yi Chunfeng guessed the secret of this space when he sensed the powerful heavenly energy. It was very likely that this space was the heavenly race's inheritance. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to suppress his soul power. Even though his soul power was suppressed by the heavenly energy, Yi Chunfeng didn't panic. With his powerful physical body, he could deal with most dangers. Furthermore, he had cultivated the heavenly Tao to the third layer, and there were 17 heavenly Tao runes in his God-Eater brain and body. As long as he used the heavenly Tao, he would be able to get rid of this space's suppression. I wonder where Qinguqiu is. Thinking that Qinguqiu had entered this place ahead of time, Yi Chunfeng immediately sent out his God-Eater brain to search for Qinguqiu's whereabouts. If Qinguqiu obtained the heavenly race's inheritance and became stronger, it would be very troublesome for him. Tao wall, there's a Tao wall up ahead. Yi Chunfeng didn't walk far before he saw a Tao wall floating in the grayish-brown clouds. His body flickered, and he immediately appeared in front of the Tao wall. A Tao wall that contains the laws of heaven and earth. Looking up at the Tao wall that had disappeared into the grayish-brown clouds, Yi Chunfeng's powerful soul could feel that this Tao wall contained the profound rules of heaven and earth. He was overjoyed and wanted to jump into the clouds and see through this Tao wall. Woo-woo! When Yi Chunfeng approached the Tao wall, a bone-chilling ghost cry sounded from the Tao wall. A grayish-brown soul emerged from the Tao wall, and it looked at Yi Chunfeng coldly. Human, you were able to pass through the 9 heavenly steps to reach this place, proving that you are a heavenly talent. Are you willing to take I as your master? If you are willing, I can give you some benefits, the gray soul said in an enticing tone. Benefits? The corners of Yi Chunfeng's mouth curled up slightly. I wonder what benefits you can give me. I can let you comprehend this heaven and earth Tao tablet, and I can even pass on my lifelong inheritance to you. My inheritance comes from the heaven region. With your talent, if you can learn it, you will be able to ascend to the heaven region in the future. The gray soul continues to tempt Yi Chunfeng. All right, I promise you, Yi Chunfeng said without hesitation. Junior, my inheritance is too precious. In order to prevent you from learning my inheritance and harming me, I must first place an imprint on your soul. The gray soul requested. Of course. With the God-Eater brain, Yi Chunfeng was not afraid of anyone placing a soul imprint on him, so he agreed without hesitation. All right then. Don't resist now. Wait for me to imprint a mark on you. Then, I will impart to you the supreme inheritance. Seeing that Yi Chunfeng was very cooperative, the gray soul's voice softened a lot. Yi Chunfeng nodded and closed his eyes, allowing the gray soul to form a powerful soul imprint and break into his sea of soul. And something's not right. The moment the soul imprint entered his sea of soul, Yi Chunfeng felt something was wrong. He realized that this imprint did not want to control his soul, but wanted to devour his soul. God-Eater brain, devour? Sensing danger, Yi Chunfeng immediately controlled the God-Eater brain to appear in his sea of soul, directly devouring the soul imprint in his sea of soul. What is in your soul? Feeling that his soul imprint was being devoured by an unimaginable power, the gray soul revealed a shocked expression. I have no enmity with you. Why do you want to harm me? Yi Qinfeng's eyes turned cold as he looked at the gray soul with a sharp gaze. As a foreign race, you want to obtain my heaven race's inheritance? Just accept your death obediently. The gray soul revealed a sinister expression. Terrifying soul lights leaked out from his body, deducing the Tao of heaven and earth. They turned into hundreds of light swords and pierced towards Yi Qinfeng. Dual extreme Tao of life and death. As the hundreds of soul light swords attacked, Yi Qinfeng's pupils immediately contracted into the most dangerous pinhole shape. He deduced the Tao of life and death to the extreme, transforming it into the Tao wheel of life and death. With a destructive force that could annihilate everything, it blasted towards the hundreds of light swords. Boom, boom, boom. Human, I have underestimated you. I didn't expect that with your strength, you would be able to withstand my attack. Seeing that his attack was actually blocked by Yi Qinfeng, the gray soul revealed a shocked expression. He continued to use his soul to deduce the Tao of heaven and earth to attack Yi Qinfeng. However, at the moment he attacked, a strong dizziness force crashed onto his soul like a mountain, causing his soul to tremble and produce a trace of dizziness. Sword soul break. While the gray soul's reaction was sluggish, the sword soul fused into the Emperor Heaven sword. An unparalleled sharpness slashed towards the gray soul, and the terrifying sword prowess shocked everyone. TSK. The gray soul was split into two from the middle by the Emperor Heaven sword, which had fused with the sword soul. In the next moment, the purple beginning sacred thunder shot out of Yi Qinfeng's body and blasted towards the gray soul that was split into two by the sword soul. It directly shattered half of the gray soul's body. With his soul severely injured, the remaining half of the gray soul immediately entered the heaven and earth Tao steel, wanting to borrow the power of the Tao steel to kill Yi Qinfeng. Lowly human, go to hell! The gray soul that was severely injured let out a furious roar. He burned his soul at all costs and controlled the heaven and earth Tao steel to kill Yi Qinfeng. You want to kill me? Try again in your next life. With a thought, Yi Qinfeng summoned the supreme grade sage artifact, the Nine Dragons Jade Annulus, and channeled his soul power into the Nine Dragons Jade Annulus. Roar. After almost all of Yi Qinfeng's soul power was absorbed, the Nine Dragons Jade Annulus let out an earth-shattering dragon roar. A ferocious dragon that bared its fangs and brandished its claws charged out of the Nine Dragons Jade Annulus. It was like a crack in the void as it blasted onto the heaven and earth Tao steel. Gotcha! The heaven and earth Tao steel couldn't withstand the destructive attack of the Nine Dragons Jade Annulus. The middle part of the steel caved in. The terrifying dragon prowess spread throughout the heaven and earth Tao steel, directly killing the gray soul that was hiding in the Tao steel. After killing the gray soul, Yi Qinfeng, whose body was extremely weak, drank a mouthful of returning heaven water. While recovering his almost depleted soul power, he controlled the God-Eater brain to radiate powerful soul power into the heaven and earth Tao steel that was filled with cracks. He wanted to comprehend the heaven and earth Tao intent contained within the Tao steel. As expected, this Tao steel might seem powerful, but after countless years of refinement, the Tao intent contained within is already very blurry. When Yi Qinfeng controlled the God-Eater brain to deduce, he realized that the heaven and earth Tao pattern contained within the heaven and earth Tao steel was extremely blurry. There were many Tao patterns that even the God-Eater brain couldn't deduce. After about a day, Yi Qinfeng recovered his depleted soul power and basically comprehended the Tao intent contained within the heaven and earth Tao steel to the limit. He cultivated the heaven and earth Tao intent to the 8th level. After refining the heaven and earth Tao intent, Yi Qinfeng began to comprehend the God-Eater brain and the 17 heaven Tao patterns engraved within his body. The difficulty of comprehending the heavenly Tao pattern was obviously much higher than the heavenly Tao intent. Yi Qinfeng controlled the God-Eater brain to quickly deduce. After nearly 5 days, he finally comprehended 17 heavenly Tao patterns and cultivated the heavenly Tao to the 5th heavenly layer. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and covered his body with heaven's Tao energy to remove the heavenly mausoleum's restriction on him. His body flickered and he disappeared on the spot. He continued to fly towards the heavenly mausoleum in search of the great opportunity and Qiangu Qiu's whereabout. Mobile reading site, book address. To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this book. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 933. Could this be the tomb of the heavenly race? Yi Chunfeng flew around the heavenly mausoleum for more than 6 hours and discovered many exquisitely constructed tombs. However, these tombs were all empty, and Yi Chunfeng didn't find anything when he entered them. Watermark advertisement test. Although he didn't find anything, Yi Chunfeng still found a lot of valuable information in these tombs. Through this information, Yi Chunfeng was basically sure that this space he was in was the burial place of the heavenly race's lower domain almighty. Qiangu Qiu was brought here by the mysterious soul, and it was very likely that he was here to inherit the great inheritance. Once he inherited the inheritance here, coupled with the mysterious soul, he would definitely endanger Yi Chunfeng's life. I have to find Qiangu Qiu as soon as possible and eliminate him. Yi Chunfeng made up his mind as he controlled the God-Eater brain's power to spread out and search for Qiangu Qiu's whereabouts. And there's something in the tomb ahead. As he flew, Yi Chunfeng's powerful soul sensed something amiss in a majestic tomb that was more than 10 meters tall. He raised his eyebrows and interweaved a large number of sword Tao patterns to tear open the tomb's restrictions and enter. The restrictions here have been broken by someone before. After entering the eerie tomb, Yi Chunfeng discovered that the restrictions in the tomb were incomplete. It seemed like someone had gotten here before him. Could Qiangu Qiu be hiding here? At the thought of this, Yi Chunfeng covered his body with heaven Tao patterns and took out the Emperor Heaven sword. He quickly entered the depths of the tomb and found a jade coffin lying flat on top of an ancient tree. However, he didn't find Qiangu Qiu. However, the lid of the jade coffin had been opened by someone. When Yi Chunfeng got closer, he discovered a corpse that had very little heaven's power and had already started to rot. This is the corpse of a heavenly race almighty. Yi Chunfeng felt the faint heavenly power in the corpse in the jade coffin. Looking at the clothes on his body, he guessed that the corpse in front of him might have come from the heaven region. However, judging from the rotting state of his flesh and blood, the energy within his body seemed to have been sucked away by someone, and the person who had sucked away all of his heavenly energy was most likely Qiangu Qiu. Yi Chunfeng scanned the tomb with his soul power, but he didn't find anything of value. He quickly left and continued to search for Qiangu Qiu. At the same time, Xingluo Heavenly City's experts cleared the 9 floors of the heavenly mausoleum. With Sha Tianyao and Lian Xing in the lead, the Xingluo Heavenly City's experts completely sealed off the 9 floors of the heavenly mausoleum, waiting for Yi Chunfeng or Qiangu Qiu to leave. It seems like Xingluo Heavenly City is determined to kill either He Yan or Qiangu Qiu. Even if they manage to leave the 9th floor of the heavenly mausoleum alive, they won't be able to escape from the hands of Xingluo Heavenly City. Ba Jian, who had been chased out of the 9th floor of the heavenly mausoleum, sighed softly as he looked at the experts of Xingluo Heavenly City surrounding the 9th floor of the heavenly mausoleum. Xingluo Heavenly City probably wants to snatch the great opportunity from them. However, both He Yan and Qiangu Qiu are peerless geniuses. They won't be easy to kill. Perhaps there will be a change in the situation. When she thought about Yi Chunfeng and Qiangu Qiu, who were both hiding great secrets, Hua Luoyu had a feeling that Sha Tianya and the others might not be able to kill them. Moreover, if the 2 of them managed to escape, Xingluo Heavenly City would most likely undergo a great change in the near future. As the days passed, Yi Chunfeng released his powerful soul power and searched for Qianguqiu for 3 days and 3 nights. However, he still couldn't find Qianguqiu. Instead, he found 3 tombs that contained the corpses of the Tian race experts. However, the Tian race experts' corpses had their heavenly energy sucked away, so Yi Chunfeng didn't manage to find anything in the tombs. After absorbing so much heavenly energy, Qianguqiu should be breaking through to Class 5 Combat Beast Emperor soon. Yi Chunfeng frowned as he felt more and more threatened. However, the heavenly mausoleum was too vast, and Qianguqiu was well hidden. Yi Chunfeng couldn't find him in a short period of time. Restriction. There is a powerful restriction in front of us. Yi Chunfeng flew aimlessly as he searched for Qianguqiu. His powerful soul power detected a powerful restriction in front of him, so he immediately flew over. Space-swallowing bug, break the restriction. Appearing under the restriction, Yi Chunfeng didn't waste any time trying to break the restriction. Instead, he summoned the space-swallowing bug and ordered it to devour the restriction. After breaking through to Class 8 Heavenly Beasts, the devouring ability of the space-swallowing bug had greatly increased. In less than half an hour, the space-swallowing bug had devoured a huge hole in the restriction. After passing through the hole in the restriction, Yi Chunfeng suddenly felt an extremely sharp sword aura locking onto him, causing him to feel suffocated. This is the power of the sword spirit. There is a sword spirit here. Yi Chunfeng's soul power was extremely sharp, and he could sense that the sword aura locking onto him was released by a powerful sword spirit. Finally, there is something to be gained. If he could capture the sword spirit here and fuse it into the Emperor Heaven Sword, the Emperor Heaven Sword could possibly become a high-grade Dao artifact, greatly increasing Yi Chunfeng's attack power. Kacha, Yi Chunfeng stepped on the branches that had withered for an unknown number of years. Facing the terrifying might of the sword, he slowly walked into this desolate space. He saw a white-robed man sitting cross-legged under a withered ancient tree. This man had pale skin and did not show any signs of life. Beside him, there was a Dao sword that was filled with cracks and had a huge crystal embedded in it. The sword aura locking onto him was released from this cracked Dao sword. The Tian race is indeed a powerful race. This person has probably been dead for hundreds of thousands of years, but his physical body isn't destroyed and the power of heaven hasn't dissipated. This is too terrifying. Looking at the corpse of the Tian race member sitting under the ancient tree, if it wasn't for the fact that there was no sign of life in his body, one wouldn't be able to tell that he had been dead for countless years. Buzz. As Yi Chunfeng slowly approached, the cracked Dao sword that was stabbed into the ground let out an ear-piercing sword hum. A powerful sword spirit power was released from the Dao sword, causing ripples to appear in the air. Tian sword spirit, can you sense the grade of the artifact spirit in that Dao sword? Feeling the sword aura released by the Dao sword spirit getting stronger, Yi Chunfeng communicated with the Tian sword spirit. Yes, the power of that sword spirit is very terrifying and far surpasses mine. It was probably the artifact spirit of a supreme-grade Dao artifact when it was at its peak. However, after being tempered over the years, that sword spirit didn't have any energy to nourish it and is no longer as strong as before. Now, its power has probably fallen to that of a high-grade Dao artifact. The Tian sword spirit explained. If you devour it, will you be able to increase your grade? Yi Chunfeng continued to ask. Yes, if I devour it, I will definitely be able to increase my grade to that of a high-grade Dao artifact. The Tian sword spirit said with certainty. Alright, then I will help you devour it. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath as the 3 fused Dao intents gushed out of his body and released the power of Dao intent. They tore apart the terrifying sword aura that was locked onto him as he walked over step by step. When Yi Chunfeng was about 10 meters away from the Tian race member's corpse, the Dao sword that was stabbed into the ground was pulled out from the ground. It was like a long dragon as it evolved a profound sword art and attacked Yi Chunfeng with a shocking aura. Mobile reading site, book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the bookmark button at the bottom to record your reading history. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blogs, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 934. 7 Swords of Judgment, Annihilation. The sword spirit's abstruse sword technique came at him. Yi Chunfeng took a step forward and poured the 3 fused Dao intents from his body into the Emperor Heaven sword. With a stab, the terrifying sword of annihilation tore the void apart and slashed at the abstruse sword technique. The 2 sword techniques clashed together. The entire space seemed to be unable to withstand the destructive power, and a vacuum region appeared. What an abstruse sword technique! Yi Chunfeng frowned when he felt that the sword technique that the sword spirit had deduced was extremely profound and had directly shattered his own sword of destruction. He had developed a strong interest in the sword technique that the sword spirit had used. Human, this is not a place that you should have come to. Your life will come to an end if you come here. At this moment, an aged voice sounded from the broken Dao technique. You talk big. However, you are still far from being able to kill me. As he spoke, the Blood Dragon Emperor appeared in Yi Chunfeng's body. When Yi Chunfeng and the Blood Dragon Emperor fused together, his strength increased steadily. You are indeed a genius of the human race. If I kill you, I think the human race will be heartbroken. As he spoke, the Dao sword that was full of cracks started to move and turned into streaks of sword gleams. They were like sword winds that intertwined with the power of the great Dao and launched a sharp attack at Yi Chunfeng. Emperor Heaven's sword technique. As the sword spirit's sword technique came at him, Yi Chunfeng continued to deduce Dao intents and executed the Emperor Heaven's shocking slash. The sword gleam that was filled with the power of the Emperor split the void in half and slashed at the sword spirit. Boom! As the 2 sword techniques clashed together, there was a burst of resplendent sword gleams. Following which, Yi Chunfeng continued to execute his sharp sword techniques and clashed fiercely with the sword technique that the sword spirit had deduced. It was a concentrated attack. As the man and the sword exchanged hundreds of blows, the sword spirit was gradually suppressed by Yi Chunfeng's abstruse sword techniques. The streaks of sword gleams that were filled with the power of the great Dao constantly damaged the sword spirit's body, causing the sword spirit to be under immense pressure. With his attack suppressed, the sword spirit unleashed his ultimate killing move. He derived his sword Dao to the extreme, and the sword gleam he unleashed was like the boundless great Dao, crushing Yi Chunfeng's attack with ease. He's finally using that move again. Although the sword move deduced by the sword spirit was extremely powerful and posed a great threat to Yi Chunfeng was very interested in this move. While defending with all his might, he controlled the God-Eater brain to deduce the attack trajectory of this sword move and tried to replicate it. Boom, boom, boom. 1 man and 1 sword fought fiercely from the sky to the ground, and from the ground to the sky. The terrifying sounds of the battle swallowed up all the sounds in the world. Countless rocks were crushed and the ground cracked. The terrifying power of the sword tore apart the withered ancient tree, annihilating it in the void. However, the corpse of the Tian clan's supreme expert sitting under the ancient tree was not affected in the slightest. It was as if it had a life of its own, isolating the terrifying sword attacks. Sword spirit, is this what you're relying on to kill me? It's only SOSO. Yi Chunfeng intentionally provoked the sword spirit, allowing him to unleash even more profound sword move. As expected, the sword spirit continued to change his move. The profound sword moves made it impossible for Yi Chunfeng to defend against them. They constantly tore through his soul power defense and attacked his physical body, leaving crisscrossing sword marks on Yi Chunfeng's body that was comparable to a mid-grade Dao artifact. Golden Body Secrets. As his injuries continued to worsen, Yi Chunfeng immediately used the Golden Body Secrets, covering his body with a layer of defensive golden light, further increasing his physical defense and withstanding the attacks of the Sword Spirit. Die. As one man and one sword exchanged tens of thousands of moves, the Sword Spirit suddenly used a move that transformed the magical into the rotten. He stabbed out with his sword, piercing through space and piercing towards Yi Chunfeng's throat with boundless killing intent. The Sword Spirit's stab could be said to be extremely sudden and impossible to guard against. However, the God-Eater brain, which had been deducing the Sword Spirit's moves, accurately captured the trajectory of this attack. Yi Chunfeng stepped on the sword and flashed through the air, narrowly dodging this sword attack. The Sword Spirit was extremely shocked that Yi Chunfeng had dodged his well-thought-out attack. However, he did not slow down his attacks and continued to use profound sword moves to attack Yi Chunfeng, determined to kill him. However, Yi Chunfeng's physical defense was too terrifying. Coupled with his unpredictable speed, the Sword Spirit was unable to kill Yi Chunfeng even after fighting fiercely for half a day. As time passed, a set of profound sword techniques appeared in the God-Eater brain, which was rapidly deducing. This set of sword techniques was similar to the sword moves used by the Sword Spirit. Whoosh! The Sword Spirit controlled the cracked sword and slashed out. A deep sword mark appeared in the air and slashed towards Yi Chunfeng like a graceful swan. Facing this sword, Yi Chunfeng's eyes flashed with the light of Tao. He flicked his wrist and used the same sword move to meet the attack. Chi! The two sword moves collided and mutually annihilated each other. There was no explosion of energy. It was eerily quiet. How do you know this sword move? Feeling that Yi Chunfeng's sword move was almost exactly the same as his own sword move, even the charm was extremely similar, the Sword Spirit let out an incredulous cry. It couldn't believe that Yi Chunfeng was able to restrain its sword technique in such a short period of time. Strange creatures will always be strange creatures. They will never know how powerful humans are. Yi Chunfeng revealed a prideful smile and continued to imitate the Sword Spirit's sword moves to attack the Sword Spirit. After one man and one sword fought fiercely for a day and a night, Yi Chunfeng's understanding of the Sword Spirit's sword moves grew deeper and deeper. When he slashed out with his sword, it contained the boundless Great Tao and continuously cracked the surface of the Great Tao. Alright, I won't play games with you anymore. Yi Chunfeng felt that there was not much left for him to learn from the Sword Spirit's sword technique. The holy thunder of purple beginnings shot out of Yi Chunfeng's body. Like a frightening whip of thunder, it struck the Sword Spirit viciously, damaging it through the sword. Sacred thunder! How did you subdue the sacred thunder with your strength? The Sword Spirit came from the heaven region and knew how terrifying the sacred thunder was. He could not imagine that Yi Chunfeng, who was just a level 3 combat beast emperor, could subdue a type of sacred thunder. He instinctively felt fear in his heart. While the Sword Spirit was still in shock, Yi Chunfeng controlled the Sword Spirit to merge into the Emperor Sky Sword. He slashed out the Tao Sword and continued to injure the Sword Spirit that was hiding in the Tao Sword. Under Yi Chunfeng's all-out attack, the Sword Spirit's injuries became more and more serious. The power of the Sword Spirit's sword moves continued to weaken and could no longer threaten Yi Chunfeng. Emperor's Heaven Shocking Slash. Just as the Sword Spirit was completely restrained, Yi Chunfeng slashed out a shocking slash and directly cracked the Tao Sword, causing it to fall to the ground. Chaos Divine Wood Suppress. Afterwards, Yi Chunfeng summoned the chaotic divine wood and used it to suppress the shattered Wei sword. It extended thousands of tendrils to attack the weapon spirit in the Wei sword. Under the suppression of the chaos divine wood, the sword spirit in the Tao sword became weaker and weaker and almost lost its attacking power. Emperor Sky Sword Spirit Devour. Sensing that the sword spirit in the Tao sword had almost lost the ability to resist, Yi Chunfeng summoned the Emperor Sky Sword Spirit and let it merge into the Tao Sword, forcefully devouring the Tao Sword's weapon spirit. And while the Emperor Sky Sword Spirit was devouring the Tao Sword's weapon spirit, Yi Chunfeng sat cross-legged on the ground and continued to control the God-Eater brain to deduce the profound sword moves that were imprinted in his soul sea. While he was deducing, he intentionally merged the power of the Heaven Way into the sword moves to increase the power of the sword move. With the passage of time, Yi Chunfeng deduced hundreds of times without sleep and rest. Finally, he merged the sword moves with the power of the Heaven Way and practiced them in the void. When Yi Chunfeng practiced, he realized that the power of the sword moves that merged with the power of the Heaven Way surpassed the two extreme Daos of life and death. It also surpassed ordinary supreme grade Tao technique. This sword move shall be called Heavenly Sword Boundless. Yi Chunfeng was very satisfied with the power of the sword moves that he had secretly learned from the sword spirit. He revealed a faint smile as he muttered to himself. Mobile reading website, book address. In order to make it easier for you to read it next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blogs, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 935. Rumble. An earth-shattering sound of thunder suddenly rang out in the distant void, causing the entire void to tremble. Yi Chunfeng, who was adjusting his breathing with his eyes closed and waiting for the two great sword spirits to fuse, woke up. Watermark advertisement test. Watermark advertisement test. Why is there thunder? Could it be that Qiangu Qiu is undergoing his tribulation? Yi Chunfeng raised his brows as he thought of a possibility, and his expression changed slightly. With Qiangu Qiu's peerless talent and the fact that he had devoured so much power of the heavens, he would definitely attract a heavenly tribulation when he broke through. If he was allowed to survive the heavenly tribulation, his strength would rise to an extremely terrifying level. I have to stop Qiangu Qiu from surviving the heavenly tribulation. Yi Chunfeng decisively put away the Emperor's celestial sword, the broken Tao sword, and the corpse of the celestial race mighty figure into the cosmos realm. He then burned his golden rock bloodline and flew towards the region where Qiangu Qiu was undergoing his tribulation at an extremely fast speed. What terrifying power! The person who caused the heavens to change is definitely Qiangu Qiu. Sensing the destructive power of the tribulation clouds, Yi Chunfeng was completely certain that these tribulation clouds were attracted by Qiangu Qiu, and he continued to increase his speed. When Yi Chunfeng reached the area where Qiangu Qiu was undergoing his tribulation, he discovered that Qiangu Qiu was sitting cross-legged in mid-air. His body was surging with the power of the heavens, and his long black hair fluttered wildly in the wind. He was currently being attacked by a great five-element tribulation that was as thick as a water bucket. The first tribulation is the five elements tribulation. Just how powerful is Qiangu Qiu's heavenly tribulation? When Yi Chunfeng saw that Qiangu Qiu was unmoving like a boulder, he didn't hesitate to charge into the area where Qiangu Qiu was undergoing his tribulation. He didn't want to give him a chance to survive the heavenly tribulation. It's you. You actually came here. Qiangu Qiu opened his eyes and saw that Yi Chunfeng had charged in without any regard for his own safety. His expression changed, and he attacked Yi Chunfeng with a large number of sword flares while enduring the heavenly tribulation. You escaped last time, but this time you will definitely die. Dual Tao of life and death. Yi Chunfeng withstood the attacks of the five elemental tribulation with his body, which was comparable to a mid-grade Tao tool. He unleashed his Tao disc, which was imbued with 80 life and death Tao patterns, toward Qiangu Qiu. The Tao disc shattered Qiangu Qiu's sword projections with ease and continued to bombard his body. Break. When Qiangu Qiu's sword light was shattered by the twin extremes Tao of life and death, Qiangu Qiu immediately punched out. The terrifying power of the heavens instantly transformed into a huge fist that shattered the twin extremes Tao of life and death like a meteor, blocking Yi Qinfeng's killing move. What a terrifying power of the heavens! Qiangu Qiu has grown so much. Sensing the might of Qiangu Qiu's punch, Yi Qinfeng revealed a trace of surprise. In just a few days, he felt that Qiangu Qiu's strength had increased by several times. If he allowed Qiangu Qiu to pass the heavenly punishment, his life would definitely be in danger. 5 Elemental Tao Intent, Life and Death Tao Intent, Heaven and Earth Tao Intent Kill. Yi Qinfeng continuously deduced the 3 Tao intents, transforming them into a Tao intent millstone that crushed through the void. Together with the boundless 5 Elemental Tao Intent, it smashed towards Qiangu Qiu. When Yi Qinfeng unleashed the Tao intent millstone, the 5 Elemental Tribulation annihilated him, destroying his body in a frenzy. Although Yi Qinfeng had passed the 5 Elemental Tribulation before, the 5 Elemental Tribulation that Qiangu Qiu attracted when he broke through to the 5th grade Combat Beast Emperor realm was even more powerful, causing Yi Qinfeng to feel immense pressure. Fortunately, Yi Qinfeng had cultivated his physical body to the 3rd layer True Spirit Body, which greatly reduced the destructive power of the 5 Elemental Tribulation. Furthermore, his comprehension of the 5 Elemental Tao Intent was slowly improving as he endured the attacks of the 5 Elemental Tribulation. Qiangu Qiu, you will definitely die today. Yi Qinfeng took a deep breath and continued to attack Qiangu Qiu with the 5 Elemental Tribulation. He was determined to kill Qiangu Qiu within the heavenly punishment. Hey Yen, since you want to die, I'll grant you your wish. Qiangu Qiu was enraged. While resisting the 5 Elemental Tribulation, he controlled the Sword Tao Intent, Wind Tao Intent, and Life and Death Tao Intent to attack Yi Qinfeng. Boundless Heavenly Sword. As Qiangu Qiu attacked with all his might, Yi Qinfeng immediately summoned the Sword Spirit of the Engulfing Path Sword and summoned the Evolving Empyrean Sword. He slashed out the Boundless Sword, which contained the power of the heavens, towards Qiangu Qiu. Heavenly Plate. Yi Qinfeng's attack was too terrifying, causing Qiangu Qiu to feel a strong sense of death. He immediately controlled a large amount of heavenly energy to surge out of his body, forming a heavenly plate that distorted the void and blocked the boundless heavenly sword. After his attack was blocked, Yi Qinfeng ignored the damage to his physical body and continued to attack Qiangu Qiu. The two of them shuttled through the 5 Elemental Tribulation at an extremely fast speed and fought fiercely with all their might. Their terrifying attacks continuously cut off the 5 Elemental Tribulation, causing the space around them to become more and more chaotic. The 5 Elemental Tribulation bombarded the space around them for more than 4 hours before it gradually disappeared, revealing the two of them who were covered in blood and fighting fiercely. Just as the two of them were fighting fiercely, the tribulation cloud that was spinning at an extremely fast speed turned pitch black. Countless lightning snakes danced within the tribulation cloud, and terrifying thunder rumbled, causing Yi Qinfeng and Qiangu Qiu's eardrums to hurt. Could this be the 1,000 lightning tribulation? Looking at the dense lightning energy that appeared in the pitch-black tribulation cloud, which seemed to cause cracks to appear in the void, Yi Qinfeng's expression changed slightly. He guessed that Qiangu Qiu's second lightning tribulation was most likely the legendary 1,000 lightning tribulation. Under the 1,000 lightning tribulation, everything would be destroyed. Even a Class 5 Combat Beast Emperor would not be able to withstand it. When Qiangu Qiu sensed the second heavenly tribulation, his expression also changed slightly. If not for Yi Qinfeng's interference with his strength and secrets, he would have been able to survive the heavenly tribulation. However, Yi Qinfeng would not give up until he killed him. Furthermore, his second heavenly tribulation was beyond imagination, so Qiangu Qiu had no choice but to ask for help from the divine race soul hidden in his body. Boom! The chaotic void trembled slightly as 1,000 lightning bolts broke through the black tribulation cloud and smashed down like a lightning mountain. The instant the lightning mountain came crashing down, space trembled violently. It was as if doomsday had arrived. Everything in the world disappeared, leaving behind only the vast lightning mountain. Feeling the might of the lightning mountain, Chingu Chio's hair stood on end. He did not expect his second heavenly tribulation to be so terrifying. He decisively gave up on attacking Yi Chunfeng and focused on defending himself. At this time, Yi Chunfeng also gave up on attacking Chingu Chio. He decisively ignited his fiend god bloodline and transformed into his fiend god body, using the golden body technique to raise his defense to the limit. Boom! The lightning mountain crashed down, causing the entire ground to collapse. Huge cracks quickly spread in all directions, and Yi Chunfeng and Chingu Chio disappeared without a trace. Relying on his body that was infinitely close to a high-grade Dao artifact, Yi Chunfeng resisted the lightning mountain's destructive attack. He fused his sword's soul into the Emperor Heaven's sword, which was constantly being baptized by lightning, and charged toward Chingu Chio, who was coughing up mouthfuls of blood. Just as Yi Chunfeng's killing move was about to land on Chingu Chio, the mysterious soul hidden within Chingu Chio's body took the initiative to attack. It communicated with the power of the heavens and formed a plate of heaven, blocking Yi Chunfeng's fatal attack. You finally made your move. A vicious light flashed in Yi Chunfeng's eyes as he continued to attack Chingu Chio with boundless lightning energy. He was determined to kill Chingu Chio to prevent future troubles. Mobile reading site, book address. To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this book. You will be able to see it the next time you open your bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 936. Soul Fuse. Yi Chunfeng charged forward, and Chingu Chio fused with the divine race soul hidden in his body. His strength instantly skyrocketed, and he used the power of the heavens to bombard Yi Chunfeng. Boom! Destructive energy spread out in all directions, creating a large number of ripples that bombarded Yi Chunfeng and Chingu Chio's bodies. Yi Chunfeng and Chingu Chio relied on their strength to resist the powerful recoil, and they fought fiercely against the 1,000 lightning tribulation. Rumble! Boundless lightning surged, and it was like a boundless domain of lightning that continuously bombarded the two of them. Even though Chingu Chio had a powerful treasure and borrowed the power of the divine race soul to become extremely terrifying, the 1,000 lightning tribulation and Yi Chunfeng's attacks were too terrifying, and it was extremely strenuous for him to block them. His injuries continued to worsen. Moreover, under Yi Chunfeng's all-out attacks, Chingu Chio had no time to comprehend the Tao intent of the heavenly tribulation. Even if he managed to defeat Yi Chunfeng and survive the heavenly tribulation, it would be difficult for him to gain anything from this tribulation. Master, I want his life. As long as Master helps me kill him, I'm willing to give up everything. Yi Chunfeng had ruined this great opportunity, and Chingu Chio was furious. He roared with rage, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. Leave it to me, the divine race soul said with killing intent. He took the risk to summon Chingu Chio's body, and an old face appeared. It spat out a soul light that was even more dazzling than the stars as it bombarded Yi Chunfeng. Purple beginnings, holy lightning, destroy. Yi Chunfeng did not retreat in the face of the divine race soul's attack. Instead, he charged forward and released the purple beginnings holy lightning, which contained the power to destroy everything. It shattered the star-like soul light and struck the divine race soul. Roar! Holy lightning! You actually subdued a type of holy lightning. Lightning was definitely the nemesis of souls. Even though the divine race soul could resist the 1,000 lightning tribulation, it could not withstand the purple beginnings holy lightning's attack, and its violent purple beginnings holy lightning pierced through his soul body. Boundless heavenly sword. The soul of the celestial race was injured by the purple beginning's sacred thunder. Yi Chunfeng decisively fused his sword's soul into the Emperor's celestial sword and slashed out. A sword light that was entwined with the power of the heavenly Tao slashed out. It was like the boundless great Tao was unstoppable as it ruthlessly slashed towards the soul of the celestial race. In the face of Yi Chunfeng's boundless heavenly sword, Qin Guqiu had a chance to help defend the Tian clan member's soul, but he did nothing as he watched the Tian clan member's soul being sliced apart by the boundless heavenly sword. Following that, with a painful roar, the heavily injured celestial race soul was engulfed by the surging thousand lightning tribulation. Not only did Qin Guqiu not save the soul of the celestial being when it was devoured by the thousand lightning tribulation, but instead of letting it escape into his body, he released a terrifying power of the heavens to shatter the descending thousand lightning tribulation and fly into the void. Qin Guqiu, I can't hold on any longer. Come and save me. The Tian clan member's soul didn't expect that Qin Guqiu would suddenly abandon him at such a critical moment, leaving him in such a desperate situation, and he immediately flew into a rage as he roared out an order. Hearing the Tian clan member's roar, Qin Guqiu remained unmoved as he continued to tear apart the thousand lightning tribulation and fly into the void. Damn it, Qin Guqiu, you bastard, I will never let you go. The Tian clan member's soul, which was riddled with holes due to the thousand lightning tribulation, roared in anger. Stop shouting, it's useless even if you scream yourself hoarse. He won't give up on the best opportunity to escape your control. Yi Chunfeng, whose entire body was scarlet red and surrounded by a defensive golden light, said coldly as he walked over and looked at the shattered heavenly race's soul that was bombarded by the thousand lightning tribulation. I won't let him go. The Tian clan member's soul said angrily, Junior, are you willing to cooperate with me and save my life? As long as you are willing to save me, I can tell you the greatest secret of this place and help you kill Qin Guqiu. Deal. Yi Chunfeng nodded and agreed without hesitation. Although Yi Chunfeng's decisiveness made the Tian clan member's soul uneasy, he couldn't afford to hesitate as he was in a desperate situation. He said anxiously, Since you've agreed, don't resist. Let me enter your soul sea to hide. Okay. Yi Chunfeng nodded and allowed the severely injured Tian clan member's soul to enter his soul sea. Just as the Tian clan member's soul entered Yi Chunfeng's soul sea, the God-Eater brain appeared and devoured the Tian clan member's soul like a black hole. As the Tian clan member roared in anger, the God-Eater brain devoured his severely injured soul. Even Qin Guqiu doesn't trust you. Do you think I'll give you the chance to control me? After the God-Eater brain devoured the Tian clan member's soul, Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and a shocking power erupted from his body as he tore through the thousand lightning tribulation and approached Qin Guqiu. Dao and sword as one. As Yi Chunfeng approached, Qin Guqiu attacked with all his might with the flying snow sword. The sword Dao patterns quickly merged together and shot toward Yi Chunfeng like a rainbow. Sword puppet defend. The thousand lightning tribulation was too powerful, and Yi Chunfeng, who had exhausted most of his soul power, summoned the sword puppet to defend against Qin Guqiu's ultimate move. Yi Chunfeng then summoned the purple beginning's holy lightning, dual polarity ancient heavenly water, and death flame. They merged together to form a giant wave that roared like the wrath of the heavens as it crashed toward Qin Guqiu. Heavenly plate. Qin Guqiu's hands formed a seal, and a large amount of heavenly energy formed two heavenly plates to defend against the wrath of the heavens. However, when he was resisting the wrath of the divine punishment with all his strength, the terrifying thousand lightning tribulation broke through his body's defenses and fiercely bombarded his body, turning him into a bloody mess. He directly fell to the ground from midair. Sword puppet, kill him with all your might. Qin Guqiu was injured by the thousand lightning tribulation, and Yi Chunfeng was also under immense pressure. His injuries were worsening, and he had no choice but to order the sword puppet to kill Qinguqiu. Blue Sky Seal. On the brink of death, Qinguqiu forced himself to use the divine ability that he had just mastered. Violent heavenly energy and soul power erupted from his body, and it was as if a blazing sun had appeared in his body. The terrifying power shattered the thousand lightning tribulation. What terrifying power! Is Qinguqiu using a holy skill? When Yi Chunfeng saw how Qinguqiu was able to shatter the thousand lightning tribulation with his powerful divine ability, a look of shock appeared on his face. At the same time, the sword puppet closed in on Qinguqiu and launched a fierce attack on his body. Blue Sky Seal. Qinguqiu quickly formed a seal in the face of the sword puppet's attack, and the surging heavenly energy formed a blue sky seal that smashed into the sword puppet's body. Boom! A terrifying explosion rocked the heavens as an extremely terrifying energy storm exploded in front of the sword puppet, rapidly depleting his soul power. However, it was unable to do anything to his body. What? Qinguqiu was shocked to see the sword puppet using its body to block his blue sky seal and continue to attack him. He hurriedly dodged. However, the sword puppet's attack speed was astonishing. Coupled with the thousand lightning tribulations attacks, Qinguqiu's injuries continued to worsen. Hey Yen, if I don't die today, I'll twist your head off one day. Qinguqiu's injuries were becoming more and more severe, and he had no choice but to fight to the death. He left behind a threat and ignored his injuries as he used the blue sky seal to charge through the thousand lightning tribulation and into the tribulation cloud. Qinguqiu's action was extremely risky, and the slightest mistake could result in his death. However, he had no choice. Faced with the attacks of Yi Chunfeng and the sword puppet, if he did not change his course of action, he would most likely die here. Mobile reading website, book address. To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this book. You will be able to see it the next time you open your bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 937. Boom, boom, boom. The moment Qinguqiu entered the tribulation clouds, he ignited the tribulation clouds' energy. The entire void seemed to be on fire, and the destructive power was terrifying. This Qinguqiu is indeed a character. He wants to live from the brink of death, but I won't let him get what he wants. Yi Chunfeng's eyes flashed fiercely. He handed the Emperor Sky sword to the sword puppet and ordered it to charge into the tribulation clouds and kill Qinguqiu with all its might. Ah! The power of heaven, refine. After charging into the red tribulation clouds, Qinguqiu's body began to crack. He used a secret technique to refine the power of heaven he had devoured earlier to repair his body and resist the destructive power of the tribulation cloud. Just as Qinguqiu was on the brink of death, the sword puppet charged in and attacked him with 2 Dao weapons, worsening his injuries and putting him in an even more dangerous situation. However, Qinguqiu had many powerful trump cards. Coupled with his gains from the heavenly tomb, he was able to resist the sword puppet and myriad lightning strike with all his strength. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the sword spirit puppet's energy had been completely depleted, and it was blasted out of the tribulation clouds by Qinguqiu, who was like a demonic god, before plummeting toward the ground. 9 Dragon Jade Annulus kill. The moment Qinguqiu attacked the sword puppet, Yi Chunfeng's powerful soul spirit locked onto him. He poured all his soul power into the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus, stimulating its power to form a destructive dragon that charged into the rolling tribulation clouds. Not good. Qinguqiu did not expect Yi Chunfeng to have such a treasure that could cause space to collapse. His expression changed drastically, and he quickly controlled the 3 Dao treasure fragments to block the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus attack. However, the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus was a supreme grade sage treasure. Even if Yi Chunfeng could only use 1/10,000th of its power, it was still not something the 3 Tao treasure fragments could block. Boom, boom, boom. The 3 fragments of the Tao treasures shattered, and the terrifying destructive dragon continued to charge towards Qiangu Qiu. Seeing the destructive dragon about to swallow Qiangu Qiu's body, Qiangu Qiu quickly took out a fist-sized white crystal that contained terrifying power to block the destructive dragon. Boom! The white crystal in Qiangu Qiu's hand immediately shattered upon being struck by the destructive dragons. A power that did not belong to this world seeped out from the shattered crystal, shattering the void, disintegrating the destructive dragons, and destroying the lightning bolts in the tribulation clouds. A Tao spirit. Qiangu Qiu has a Tao spirit. Feeling the power emanating from the white crystal, Yi Chunfeng raised his eyebrows. He didn't expect him to have such a high-quality Tao spirit. Green Heaven spell fuse. The Tao spirit was shattered by the destructive dragon, releasing boundless energy. Qiangu Qiu immediately circulated the Green Heaven secret art, which he had inherited from the sky race, to refine the Tao spirit's energy into his body and heal his injuries. Purple Dawn sacred lightning destroy. Yi Chunfeng did not expect that the 9-dragon jade annulus would not be able to kill Qiangu Qiu. Ignoring his weakened state, he flew into the sky and summoned the Purple Beginnings holy lightning to attack Qiangu Qiu. Hey Yin, you can't kill me. Just wait for my revenge. Class 5 Combat Beast Emperor Breakthrough. Qiangu Qiu, who was on the brink of death, let out an uncontrollable roar. He quickly circulated the Green Heaven secret art and fused the broken Tao spirit into his body, breaking through the bottleneck and becoming a Class 5 Combat Beast Emperor. After the breakthrough, the terrifying heavenly punishment gradually dissipated, revealing a bloodied Qiangu Qiu whose body was rapidly recovering. Lingyu, Shuihe, third Uncle Fu, kill him. Using the 9-dragon jade annulus had exhausted all of Yi Chunfeng's soul power. He drank a large mouthful of heaven-returning water and summoned the 3 spirit fish clan members from the universe realm. He told them to take advantage of the fact that Qiangu Qiu had just broken through and was at his weakest to kill him. Upon receiving Yi Chunfeng's order, the 3 spirit fish clan members immediately leaped into the air and surrounded the bloodied Qiangu Qiu in order to kill him. You want to kill me with just the 3 of you? Although Qiangu Qiu was severely injured, he was still a Class 5 Combat Beast Emperor. Coupled with the power of his Tao spirit, he was still very powerful. Streaks of sword radiance filled with the Great Path Essence realm fiercely slashed out, constantly shattering the attacks of spiritual fish and the other 2, disintegrating their attack. Ancient Xana Mirror. The 3 could not stop Qiangu Qiu's attack. The King of Massacre quickly summoned the Ancient Xana Mirror and used the Gu Dao treasure to attack Qiangu Qiu. Heavenly Plate. 2 heavenly plates appeared in Qiangu Qiu's palms, distorting the space around them as they slammed into the ancient Xana mirror. Then, a large number of sword-based Dao inscriptions appeared on Qiangu Qiu's body, turning into a dense cluster of Dao swords that attacked the King of Massacre and the other 2. They tore through the attacks of the 3 and sent the weaker Fu Qingshan flying. Holy Lightning of Purple Beginnings. After tearing through the defensive line of the 3, the injured Qiangu Qiu tried to escape. However, Yi Chunfeng appeared in midair and blocked Qiangu Qiu's path. He summoned the Holy Lightning of Purple Beginnings and attacked Qiangu Qiu, forcing him to dodge with all his might. Heavenly Demon Chains seal the space. While Qiangu Qiu was dodging, Yi Chunfeng formed 5 heavenly demon chains and sealed off the space around Qiangu Qiu. Break! The space was sealed by the heavenly demon ghost chains, and Qiangu Qiu unleashed a full-force attack with his flying snow sword, tearing through the chains with all his might. Stun Art. Seeing that Qiangu Qiu was about to escape, Yi Chunfeng activated the soul power in his mind and formed a terrifying stun art. It bombarded Qiangu Qiu's soul, causing him to feel dizzy. Holy lightning of purple beginnings, destroy. Seizing the opportunity, the holy lightning of purple beginnings slammed into Chingu Chio's body, breaking through his defenses and sending him flying thousands of meters away. His bloodied body was almost pierced by the holy lightning of purple beginnings. Wrath of divine punishment. Yi Chunfeng immediately used the wrath of divine punishment to kill Chingu Chio. Green Heaven Art, Heavenly Tao Disc. The wrath of divine punishment roared like a river, destroying everything in its path. Ignoring the injuries to his body, Chingu Chio forcefully circulated the green heaven art and formed the heavenly Tao disc in his body. Boom! The wrath of God's punishment collided with the heavenly Tao disc, creating a destructive force that sent Chingu Chio flying. Chingu Chio's injuries worsened, and he continued to circulate the green heaven art to suppress his injuries. He raised his speed to the maximum and fled into the distance. Where do you think you're going? Yi Chunfeng quickly drank another mouthful of heaven-returning water and chased after him with the sword step. He was determined to kill Chingu Chio. However, the heavenly tomb's terrain was very complex. Chingu Chio's soul power was constantly changing, and he was able to escape Yi Chunfeng's pursuit and disappear into the chaotic heavenly tomb. Sigh. I still couldn't kill him. Yi Chunfeng sighed as he watched Chingu Chio disappear into the horizon, a trace of regret appearing on his face. Since he didn't manage to kill him this time, Yi Chunfeng knew that it would be difficult to kill him in the future. Mobile reading site, book address. To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom of the page to record this book. You will be able to see it the next time you open your bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 938. Brother Chingfeng, who was that? How could he be so powerful? Ling Yu and the other two, who had been injured by Chingu Chio, came to Yi Chunfeng's side and asked softly. That was Chingu Chio, one of the top 10 powerhouses in the star field. He was also recognized by the powerhouses of the Sky Tribe as a terrifying genius who inherited the Sky Tribe's inheritance, Yi Chunfeng said solemnly. Through Chingu Chio's Green Heaven Secret Art and the 2 offensive divine abilities of the Green Heaven Secret Art, Yi Chunfeng suspected that Chingu Chio had inherited part of the Sky Tribe's inheritance. Otherwise, he would not be so heaven-defying. Let's go back to the universe realm. With a thought, Yi Chunfeng sent Ling Yu and the others back to the universe realm and came to the corpse of the Sky Tribe powerhouse, who had been dead for God knows how long. I wonder if he has a Tao spirit? Yi Chunfeng knew the value of a Tao spirit. If he could obtain one and borrow the power of a Tao spirit, he would be able to break through to the level 4 combat Beast Emperor realm. At that time, he would have a chance to kill Chingu Chio. Unfortunately, when Yi Chunfeng released his powerful soul power into the body of the Sky Tribe powerhouse, he found that there was no Tao spirit in the body. Instead, there was a huge amount of heavenly energy left in the body. Ling Yu, Shui He, Third Uncle Fu, let's absorb the heavenly energy in the body of the Sky Tribe powerhouse for a few days to cultivate. The heavenly energy in his body will be of great help to our cultivation. Yi Chunfeng did not want to take the heavenly energy in the body of the Sky Tribe powerhouse for himself. He wanted to share it with the other 3. No, I don't want to absorb the corpse's energy to cultivate. I want to cultivate by myself. Ling Yu shook his head like a rattled drum and said with great resistance. After saying that, the spirit fish threw an extremely precious heaven-level spirit grass into its mouth and chewed it like a rabbit. It swallowed it into its stomach and found a quiet place to refine the spirit grass. All right, then the 3 of us will absorb the heavenly energy in the body of the Sky Tribe powerhouse to cultivate. After that, Yi Chunfeng and the other 2 sat around the corpse of the celestial race's mighty figure. They circulated their respective Tao formulas and devoured the celestial race's mighty figure's boundless power of heaven, increasing their own strength. While Yi Chunfeng was devouring the heavenly power in the celestial race's corpse, he was still fusing with a small soul fragment that had appeared in the God-Eater's brain. And this soul fragment was formed by the God-Eater brain devouring the Tian clan's soul. It contained a portion of the Tian clan's supreme expert's soul memories. The green sky art was a low-grade saint art that had been passed down for tens of millions of years. It was the first soul art that the celestial clan's experts below the Tao sovereign realm could cultivate. It had 3 saint skills: the blue sky seal, the heavenly Tao disc, and the furnace of heaven. Among them, the furnace of heaven's power was comparable to a middle-grade saint skill. It was extremely terrifying. So Qingu Qiu obtained the green heaven art. After learning the mystery of Qingu Qiu's reversal divine ability, Yi Chunfeng was very interested in the green heaven art and its 3 saint skills. If he could learn it, his attack power would greatly increase. However, the Tian clan's supreme expert was severely injured when he was devoured by the God-Eater brain. Thus, the soul fragment produced by the God-Eater brain did not contain the cultivation chant of the green heaven art, which made Yi Chunfeng feel very regretful. Although he did not obtain the Tian clan's inheritance, Yi Chunfeng learned of an important place in the soul fragment, the Heavenly Sovereign's blood cliff. The Heavenly Sovereign's blood cliff was the Heavenly Tomb's greatest secret. It was where the strongest Heavenly Sovereign of the Celestial Clan, who had stepped into the Tao sovereign realm, was buried. According to the information in the soul fragment, the Heavenly Sovereign's blood cliff not only contained the complete cultivation chant of the green heaven art, but also a drop of blood. A drop of the Heavenly Sovereign's life's blood. The Heavenly Sovereign's blood cliff. I must hurry to the Heavenly Sovereign's blood cliff and stop Qingu Qiu. Otherwise, once Qingu Qiu inherits the Tian clan's inheritance and obtains the Heavenly Sovereign's blood, the situation will be irreversible. Yi Chunfeng felt the severity of the situation. He drank a large amount of heaven-returning water to recover his soul power, then left the universe realm and flew toward the Heavenly Sovereign's blood cliff at top speed. At the same time, Qingu Qiu, who had fused with his Tao spirit, passed the heavenly punishment, and broken through to the level 5 combat beast emperor realm, arrived at the foot of a 300-meter-tall blood cliff. This 300-meter-tall blood cliff was the Heavenly Tomb's greatest secret. It was the place where the Tian clan's Heavenly Sovereign was buried. Hey Yin, just you wait. When I inherit the inheritance and obtain the Heavenly Sovereign's blood, it will be the time of your death. Qingu Qiu looked up at the Heavenly Sovereign's blood cliff with a vicious look in his eyes as he swore in his heart. After saying that, Qingu Qiu knelt down in front of the Heavenly Sovereign's blood cliff and forcefully circulated the incomplete green heaven art, releasing strands of heavenly energy into the Heavenly Sovereign's blood cliff. Who dares to disturb my slumber? As Qingu Qiu poured heavenly energy into the Heavenly Sovereign's blood cliff, a deep voice suddenly rang out from the Heavenly Sovereign's blood cliff. The terrifying voice was like thunder from the 9 heavens, causing the entire space to tremble. This junior is Tian Guxiao's disciple. I have been ordered by my master to come here to greet senior and inherit the Tian clan's inheritance, Qingu Qiu said respectfully. Where is your master? Why isn't he here? The deep voice continued to ask. My master originally came to the heavenly tomb with this junior, but unfortunately, he was killed by a genius from the human race. This junior was only able to escape with his life under his protection. Qingu Qiu added fuel to the fire as he spoke, denouncing Yi Chunfeng's crimes. Did your master give you a keepsake? Although Qingu Qiu seemed to be wholeheartedly loyal to the Tian clan, the Heavenly Sovereign's soul in the Heavenly Sovereign's blood cliff was still worried about him. Master once gave his Tao spirit to me. However, his Tao spirit was shattered when he blocked the attack of that genius from the human race. However, with his help, this junior was able to fuse with his Tao spirit in the end, Qingu Qiu continued. Don't resist. Let me inspect your body, the Heavenly Sovereign's soul ordered. Yes, senior. Chingu Chiu knelt on the ground reverently and pressed his head against the hard granite. He allowed a powerful soul force to enter his body and sense his condition. When the Heavenly Sovereign's soul sensed his body's secrets, Chingu Chiu was extremely nervous. He was afraid that the Heavenly Sovereign's soul would sense his disloyalty and consign him to eternal damnation. "Are you nervous?" the Heavenly Sovereign's soul asked. "Whether or not I can inherit Senior's inheritance will determine whether or not I can avenge my master, so I'm a little nervous. I'm afraid that Senior won't like me. If that happens, I won't be able to kill my enemy," Chingu Chiu cleverly explained. "Yes. You have Tian Guxiao's aura in your body, so you should be closely related to him. You are indeed qualified to inherit our heavenly clan's inheritance. However, before that, I have a question for you." The Heavenly Sovereign's soul's hostility lessened when it sensed the aura of Tian Guxiao's Tao spirit. "Senior, please ask." Chingu Chiu secretly heaved a sigh of relief and asked, "Junior, let me ask you. Are you really willing to betray the human race and join our heavenly clan?" The Heavenly Sovereign's soul asked seriously. "This Junior is willing." Chingu Chiu agreed without hesitation in order to obtain the heavenly clan's supreme inheritance. "Good. Then don't give up resisting. Let me imprint a soul mark on your soul. After that, I will impart the heavenly clan's supreme inheritance to you," the Heavenly Sovereign's soul ordered. "Yes." Chingu Chiu's eyes flashed with a vicious light. He knelt on the ground and allowed the Heavenly Sovereign's soul to imprint a powerful soul mark on his mind. Although the imprint would affect Chingu Chiu to some extent, the ambitious Chingu Chiu was confident that he would be able to break the imprint in his mind when he ascended to the celestial realm and became a Tao master. "Very good. Now you are qualified to inherit our heavenly clan's inheritance. Once you inherit our heavenly clan's inheritance, you can avenge your master." After imprinting the soul mark, the Heavenly Sovereign's soul was completely relieved. Small blood-red words appeared on the Heavenly Sovereign's blood cliff and formed a set of mysterious cultivation mantras. This cultivation mantra was the complete mantra of the lower-grade sage art, Green Heaven Mantra. Mobile reading website, book address. To make it easier for you to read it next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record your reading history. You will be able to see it the next time you open your bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 939. Junior, the process of assimilating the heavenly clan's inheritance will be very painful. You must endure it. If you fail, you will lose the opportunity to inherit the heavenly clan's inheritance. Watermark advertisement test. Watermark advertisement test. The Heavenly Master's soul warned. "Don't worry, Senior. I will endure any pain to avenge my master," Chingu Chiu said firmly as he clenched his fists. "Good. It is Tian Guxiao's fortune to have you as his disciple." The Heavenly Master's soul was completely fooled by Chingu Chiu. He controlled the tiny characters on the blood cliff and sent them into Chingu Chiu's soul. The process of imprinting the cultivation chant was extremely painful. It was as if steel nails were being stabbed into one's soul. However, the kneeling Chingu Chiu did not make a sound. He was silently enduring the inhumane pain. The Heavenly Master's soul could not help but look at him in a new light. Right at this moment, an ear-piercing sound rang out. Yi Chunfeng flapped his golden rock wings and flew over at an extremely fast speed. "Senior, that genius from the human clan is here. I'm afraid he wants to kill me." When Chingu Chiu sensed Yi Chunfeng's aura, he gritted his teeth and tried to fuse the Green Heaven Arts mantra. "Don't worry. I won't let him hurt you," said the celestial venerate in a tyrannical manner. A powerful soul power gushed out from the blood wall and transformed into a man in a purple-gold robe. His face was as sharp as a knife, and his deep purple eyes were as deep as the ocean. His soul power was as boundless as the ocean. Although his physical body had been destroyed and his soul had been tempered over the years, he was still a Tao master. His aura alone was not something that the cultivators of the Duhun continent could withstand. Moreover, the Heavenly Master's blood cliff was a treasure that had allowed his soul to remain intact for hundreds of thousands of years. What a terrifying aura! Could this person be the Heavenly Master's soul that was buried in the Heavenly Master's blood cliff? Yi Chunfeng looked at the imposing figure outside the Heavenly Master's blood cliff with a solemn expression. It seems that Qinggu Qiu has already obtained the recognition of the Heavenly Sovereign's soul and is now accepting its inheritance. Looking at Qinggu Qiu, who was kneeling on the ground in pain, Yi Chunfeng felt the severity of the situation. With Qinggu Qiu's strength and the fact that he had inherited the heavenly race's inheritance, he would be a fatal threat to him. Human Clans Jr., you sure have guts. You actually dared to destroy my Tian clan's heroic spirit and come here. It seems like there is a need for you to leave your life here. The celestial race Empyrean said in a deep voice, his voice filled with killing intent. After he finished speaking, he waved his arm and a beam of soul light shot out like a falling star. It split open the void and ruthlessly slashed toward Yi Chunfeng. Sword steps. Yi Chunfeng smelled a strong sense of danger when he was attacked by the Heavenly Lord's soul. He decisively used his sword steps to dodge the attack. Your speed is not slow, but it's useless, the Heavenly Lord's soul said arrogantly. A powerful soul energy erupted from his body and locked down the entire space, sealing off Yi Chunfeng's escape route. Feeling that the space around him was being isolated by the Heavenly Lord's soul, Yi Chunfeng immediately took out the Emperor's Sky Sword. After fusing with the sword spirit of the Tao Sword, the Emperor's Sky Sword underwent a qualitative change. Its quality improved and became a high-grade Tao artifact, greatly increasing Yi Chunfeng's attack power. Boundless Heavenly Sword. Holding the Emperor's Celestial Sword tightly, Yi Chunfeng executed the strongest move that he currently knew. The boundless sword, which was infused with the power of the heavenly way, slashed towards the isolated space, forcibly splitting open cracks in the isolated space. How did you know this move? Seeing Yi Chunfeng execute the boundless heavenly sword, the Heavenly Lord's soul revealed a look of surprise. Purple Beginnings Sacred Thunder Break. Yi Chunfeng did not bother about the Heavenly Lord's soul. He summoned the Purple Beginnings Sacred Thunder and blasted it at the cracked space. He wanted to break through the restricted space and escape. However, the Heavenly Lord's soul was too terrifying. The restricted space that he released his soul energy was very sturdy. The Purple Beginnings Sacred Thunder was unable to break through it immediately. Sacred Thunder. What an interesting human. Back then, I was not fortunate enough to subdue a type of sacred thunder. However, with your strength, you managed to subdue a newly born type of sacred thunder. How shocking! However, this newly born sacred thunder will not be able to save you. Today you will definitely die. As he spoke, a large amount of soul energy surged out of the Heavenly Lord's soul and turned into a huge soul hand. With unparalleled pressure, it grabbed at Yi Chunfeng. As the huge soul hand grabbed at him, Yi Chunfeng controlled the Purple Beginnings Sacred Thunder to attack again. He borrowed the power of the Sacred Thunder to resist the Heavenly Lord's soul. Although lightning was the nemesis of souls, the Heavenly Lord's soul was too terrifying. The Purple Beginnings Sacred Thunder was unable to tear it apart immediately. Boom! The huge soul hand appeared in the void and erupted with surging soul energy. It viciously slammed into Yi Chunfeng's body as he dodged using his sword steps and sent him flying. After injuring Yi Chunfeng with a single palm strike, the Heavenly Lord's soul continued to control the huge soul hand to attack Yi Chunfeng. He was determined to kill him and take away his great destiny and treasures. Vermilion Bird Cauldron. At this critical moment, Yi Chunfeng summoned the Vermilion Bird Cauldron that had evolved into a Gu Dao treasure. He awakened the vermilion bird soul and slammed it against the huge soul hand that was coming at him. Rumble! The vermilion bird cauldron and the huge soul hand collided. Endless flames erupted and the void trembled violently. The huge soul hand was blocked by the vermilion bird soul. The Heavenly Lord's soul punched out 3 more times and slammed into the vermilion bird cauldron, sending it flying. Wrath of divine punishment. After the vermilion bird cauldron was sent flying by the Heavenly Lord's soul, Yi Chunfeng immediately summoned the Purple Beginnings Sacred Thunder, Dual Polarity Ancient Heavenly Water, and Death Flame Heavenly Fire. Seal. Before the wrath of divine punishment could explode, the Heavenly Lord's soul controlled the soul energy to seal the wrath of divine punishment and destroy it. Strong, the Heavenly Lord's soul is too strong. Yi Chunfeng felt a sense of helplessness as he watched the wrath of divine punishment being destroyed so easily by the Heavenly Lord's soul. At this time, Qiangu Qiu was enduring immense pain as he engraved the Green Heaven Technique's mantra into his soul. Hey Yen, when you are killed, everything you have will be mine. I will step over your corpse to complete my unparalleled mission and step onto the peak of the martial way. Qiangu Qiu knew how terrifying the Heavenly Lord was. He did not believe that Yi Chunfeng could survive the attack of the Heavenly Lord's soul. Thus, he was very interested in Yi Chunfeng's secrets. Just as he expected, Yi Chunfeng was in a perilous situation within the sealed space. He could not withstand the Heavenly Lord's soul's attack at all. 9 Dragon Jade Annulus. Yi Chunfeng had no choice but to summon the 9 Dragons Jade Annulus, a supreme-grade sage artifact. He continuously poured his soul power into the 9 Dragons Jade Annulus, controlling it to attack the Heavenly Lord's soul that was almost unshakable. Boom! Under the attack of the destructive dragon, the Heavenly Lord's soul's attack was shattered. Even the sealed space was torn apart. Just as the weakened Yi Chunfeng was about to break free, the Heavenly Venerate's soul appeared at the gap in the restriction and continued to attack him. Human brat, it's useless even if you have a holy treasure. No one can save you, the Heavenly Lord's soul said with a murderous aura. He launched a fatal attack at Yi Chunfeng, wanting to kill Yi Chunfeng and take everything he had. Mobile reading site, book address. To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the Save button below to record this book. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 940. Token. Yi Chunfeng did not hide in the universe mirror after receiving the fatal attack from the Heavenly Lord's soul. Instead, he took out the clone token given to him by the mysterious old Taoist and placed it in front of him. Crack! The clone token shattered after receiving a fatal blow from the Celestial Venerate's soul. A terrifying power seeped out from the token, turning into an old Taoist in ancient robes. He blocked the attack from the Celestial Venerate's soul. You! It's you! Why are you here? The Heavenly Lord's soul lost his composure when he saw the old Taoist standing in front of Yi Chunfeng. The old Taoist's body was thin but gave off the feeling of a mountain. I didn't expect that we would meet again one day. The mysterious old Taoist's voice was ancient. However, when we meet again, you're only a remnant soul and I'm only a clone. Luotian, do you insist on making an enemy out of the Heavenly Lord's soul? The Heavenly Lord's soul said angrily with a fierce look in his eyes. I don't want to make an enemy out of you. However, you wanted to destroy the orthodoxy of the human race. I had no choice but to attack you. The mysterious old Taoist said emotionlessly. Fine, fine, fine. If that's the case, I'll destroy your clone first to take revenge. The Heavenly Lord's soul looked at the old Taoist with hatred. Several crescent-shaped soul arcs split from his body and pierced through the air, attacking the old Taoist at an astonishing speed. I could destroy your clone back then. Now I can destroy your soul too. The old Taoist's hands moved slowly like flowing water. They turned into an extremely mysterious diagram of the great Tao and blocked the attack from the Heavenly Lord's soul. Then, the old Taoist's turbid eyes opened abruptly. A sound wave that sounded like a dragon's roar and a tiger's roar was released from his mouth. It rushed towards the Heavenly Lord's soul like a surging tide. Blue Sky Seal. The Heavenly Lord's soul quickly formed a seal. A green seal formed from the power of the heavens collided with the sound wave released by the old Taoist, causing the entire void to shake violently. "Junior, can you lend me that jade wall for a moment?" The Heavenly Lord's soul was too terrifying. The old Taoist's clone did not dare to be careless. He transmitted a message to Yi Chenfeng. "All right." Without hesitation, Yi Chenfeng lent the 9 dragons jade annulus, the most powerful offensive treasure in his possession, to the old Taoist's clone. After obtaining the 9-dragon jade annulus, the old Taoist gently took a step forward. After one step, the old Taoist strangely appeared in front of the Empyrean's soul and punched his chest. This punch appeared to be normal, but it was filled with the power to destroy the world. It was enough to flatten a mountain. The Celestial Lord's soul continued to form seals and collided with the old Taoist's fist. The two powerful forces collided, causing cracks to appear in the void and setting off monstrous waves. While the old Taoist priest was clashing with the Heavenly Lord's soul, Yi Chenfeng, who had consumed an entire bottle of heavenly returning water to recover his soul power, adjusted his state of mind, and wielded his halberd to attack Qingu Qiu, who was in the midst of receiving the celestial race's inheritance. "Hey Yen, I will definitely kill you today." After receiving the complete celestial race inheritance, Qingu Qiu, who had basically consolidated his cultivation as a Class 5 combat beast emperor, roared and slashed toward Yi Chenfeng with his flying snow sword. Fiend God Bloodline Ignite. Controlling the 9-dragon jade annulus to attack Qingu Qiu had drained almost all of Yi Chenfeng's soul energy. Now, facing Qingu Qiu, Yi Chenfeng could only transform into his god-devil physique and raise his physical body's strength to 140 million. The halberd, which was infused with the Tao intent of the 5 elements, Tao intent of life and death, and Tao intent of heaven and earth, smashed down like a mountain toward Qingu Qiu's flying snow sword. Bang! When the two Taoist treasures collided with each other, there was a deafening explosion. After that one strike, Yi Chenfeng was like an invincible hero. With the halberd in his hand, he ferociously smashed into Qingu Qiu, suppressing him with absolute strength. In the face of Yi Chenfeng's mountain-like halberd, Qingu Qiu did not dodge. Instead, he pushed his soul power to the limit and faced the attack head-on with his flying snow sword. Qingu Qiu has indeed become terrifying after consolidating his cultivation base. I'm afraid I won't be a match for him if I rely solely on physical strength. Yi Chenfeng and Qingu Qiu fought fiercely for an incense stick's worth of time. Not only was he unable to suppress Qingu Qiu, but he was also being countered by Qingu Qiu's endless attacks. Stun Art. As the battle grew fiercer and fiercer, Yi Chenfeng's soul power erupted, forming a terrifying stun art that bombarded Qingu Qiu's soul, causing him to feel dizzy. Heavenly Demon Dance. While Qingu Qiu's reaction was sluggish, Yi Chenfeng quickly slashed out with his halberd. 8 halberd shadows with the power to destroy everything smashed through the void toward Qingu Qiu. Not good. Enduring the dizziness, Qingu Qiu quickly circulated the green heaven secret art and gathered the power of the heavens in front of him to block the 8 halberd shadows' destructive attack. Bang! Qingu Qiu's power of the heavens was broken, and the mountain-like halberd smashed into his body, sending him flying. A large amount of blood spurted out from his mouth. After sending Qingu Qiu flying with his halberd, Yi Chenfeng followed up with another attack, wanting to kill him in one fell swoop. Green Heaven Secret Art, Heavenly Tao Disc. Qingu Qiu roared furiously and circulated the Green Heaven Secret Art at high speed, forming a terrifying Heavenly Tao Disc. It twisted the void and slammed into Yi Chenfeng's halberd. Boom! Yi Chunfeng's halberd shattered the heavenly Tao disc, but the power of the heavens from the heavenly Tao disc slammed into Yi Chunfeng's body, sending him flying. The blood in his body churned violently. Beast soul form. Qiangu Qiu roared and transformed into his strongest beast soul form. Stepping on the cloud treading boots, he launched a fierce attack at Yi Chunfeng. As he attacked, he also summoned the devil puppet, which was comparable to a level 6 combat beast emperor, to attack together. The sword puppet had exhausted its energy in the 10,000 layers of tribulation clouds, so Yi Chunfeng could only rely on his own strength to defend against Qiangu Qiu and the devil puppet's attacks. As their attacks became more and more ferocious, Yi Chunfeng's attacks were gradually suppressed. If not for his strong physical body, he would have been severely injured by Qiangu Qiu. Yi Chunfeng and Qiangu Qiu were engaged in an intense battle, but the battle between the old Taoist priest and the Heavenly Lord's soul was not as intense as the battle between the old Taoist priest and the Heavenly Lord's soul. However, every time the two of them clashed, the void would collapse, and the destructive power that seeped out from the spatial rifts would be enough to kill an emperor-level cultivator. Blood-red cliff destroy. The Heavenly Master's soul fused with the blood-red cliff, which was hundreds of meters tall and had the power of a saint artifact. He controlled the blood-red cliff to emit a crimson light, which shot towards the old Taoist like a curtain of blood. As the curtain of blood approached, the old Taoist's energy surged and poured into the 9-dragon jade annulus. Roar, roar, roar! Following 3 deafening dragon roars, 3 destructive dragons with the power to destroy all things smashed through the crimson blood barrier and ruthlessly slammed into blood-red cliff. Gotcha! The blood-red cliff was covered in cracks after taking the 9-dragon jade annulus attack. The terrifying power of the 9-dragon jade annulus passed through the blood-red cliff and crashed into the Heavenly Master's soul. After destroying the blood-red cliff and severely injuring the Heavenly Master's soul, the old Taoist continued to expend the power of his doppelganger to control the 9-dragon jade annulus. Soul ignition. The Heavenly Master's soul also burned its soul to increase the power of the blood-red cliff and defend against the 9-dragon jade annulus attack. The clash between the two holy treasures continued to destroy the space around the heavenly cemetery. Even Yi Chunfeng, Qiangu Qiu, and the devil puppet were affected by the shockwaves. Their attacks were forcefully interrupted, and they were sent flying several thousand meters away. Mobile reading site, book address. To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the bookmark button at the bottom to record this book. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 941. The sky collapsed and the wind and clouds churned. The entire space was in chaos. Reading the latest chapter enduring the destructive storm from afar, Yi Chunfeng held the heavenly halberd in one hand and the Emperor's sky sword in the other as he clashed fiercely with Qiangu Qiu and the devil puppet. However, Qiangu Qiu and the devil puppet were too powerful. Yi Chunfeng could not withstand their ferocious attacks even though he had pushed his Tao will to the extreme. Helpless, Yi Chunfeng took out an ancient jade peach that was over 200,000 years old and swallowed it. Instantly, he recovered his soul power and fought with all his might. Lingyu, Shuihe, come out and help me. Using the ancient jade peach to recover his peak strength, Yi Chunfeng immediately summoned the Lingyu and the King of Massacre. He also lent the heavenly halberd to the Lingyu so that they could restrain the devil puppet. Ancient instant mirror, boundless mirror images. Upon receiving Yi Chunfeng's order, the King of Massacre, who was a Class 4 combat beast emperor, soared into the sky and activated the ancient instant mirror with all his might. Boundless mirror light shot out and attacked the devil puppet. While the King of Massacre was attacking with all his might, the Lingyu ignited his bloodline power and transformed into his divine ape-true form. He held the heavenly halberd in his hand and attacked the devil puppet with all his might. Facing the King of Massacre and the Lingyu's all-out attack, the devil puppet was immediately distracted. At this moment, Yi Chunfeng ignited his dragon bloodline and transformed into a blood dragon that shook the heavens. He charged towards Qin Guqiu, who was using the power of the heavens to attack ferociously. Blue Sky Seal. Yi Chunfeng used his true dragon transformation to attack. Qin Guqiu circulated the green sky secret art at high speed and gathered the power of the heavens to form a powerful azure palm print. It brought with it an unparalleled pressure and bombarded the true dragon shadow. Boom, boom, boom. The two divine abilities collided, and the crimson dragon head that was imbued with the intent of the great Tao was immediately shattered. However, the crimson dragon head continued its onslaught and crashed into Qin Guqiu's body. Qin Guqiu was forced to retreat again, and his body plowed a massive trench into the ground as the blood essence in his body churned violently. Green Heaven Spell, Heavenly Tao Plate. Qin Guqiu forced back the blood that was about to burst out of his mouth as he circulated the green heaven art to suppress the surging blood essence in his body. He formed the terrifying Heavenly Tao disc in an attempt to counterattack. Boundless Heavenly Sword. Yi Chunfeng charged forward with unimaginable speed. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of Qin Guqiu and attacked with the Emperor's celestial sword. With a slash of his sword, the power of the Heavenly Tao was pushed to the limit. The terrifying sword light contained the might of the Grand Tao, and it overshadowed all light as it slammed into Qin Guqiu's Heavenly Tao Plate. Ka. Cracks began to appear on the Heavenly Tao Plate as it clashed with the boundless Heavenly Sword. Qin Guqiu's Heavenly Tao Plate shattered. However, the recoil from the Heavenly Tao disc's attack landed heavily on Yi Chunfeng's body, injuring him. Sacred Thunder of Purple Beginnings, Break. Yi Chunfeng relied on his powerful physique to resist the recoil from the recoil as he tapped his finger in the air. The sacred thunder of purple beginnings burst forth and pierced through the Heavenly Tao Plate that was riddled with cracks. 100 million gene of force / When the sacred thunder of purple beginnings destroyed Qin Guqiu's Heavenly Tao Plate, Yi Chunfeng leaped into the air and burned his celestial demon bloodline to transform into his celestial demon body. He raised the power of the Emperor's celestial sword to the limit and smashed it down like a moving mountain. Boom! Yi Chunfeng's full force / landed on Qin Guqiu's flying snow sword, and a terrifying power burst forth. The power passed through the flying snow sword and into Qin Guqiu's arms, causing the skin on his arms to split open and a large amount of blood to flow out. Following that, Yi Chunfeng continued to unleash the full power of his physique, as he gripped the Emperor's celestial sword tightly with both hands. He spun his body and continued to slash at Qin Guqiu, worsening his injuries. Green Heaven Technique, Explode with the power of the heavens. As the injuries on his arms worsened, Qin Guqiu increased the speed of the Green Heaven Technique to the limit. He unleashed the power of the heavens to meet Yi Chunfeng's attacks head-on. Due to the ferocity of their attacks, it was as if two beams of divine light were clashing against each other. The power of their attacks continued to destroy the heavenly tomb. Yi Chunfeng and Qin Guqiu's battle was earth-shattering. The spirit fish and the king of killers were completely suppressed by the devil puppet and were in a perilous situation. The battle between the old Taoist's avatar and the Heavenly Lord's soul was nearing its end. The outcome of their battle would determine the outcome of the battle. Borrowing the power of the nine-dragon jade annulus, the old Taoist's avatar shattered the blood-red cliff, which was comparable to a sage treasure. The Heavenly Lord's soul, which was hiding in the blood-red cliff, was also severely injured. His soul was constantly being destroyed, and he was on the verge of collapsing. Luotian, even if I die, I will destroy your avatar. The Heavenly Lord's soul let out an uncontrollable roar. He frantically activated the power of the heavenly tomb, preparing to deal a fatal blow to the old Taoist. It's useless. This is not the heaven region. You will never be able to cause any trouble here. Feeling the power of the heavenly tomb surging into the blood-red cliff, the old Taoist's arms suddenly exploded. They turned into countless Tao patterns that surged into the blood-red cliff like a tidal wave. Following that, a series of deafening explosions rang out from the blood-red cliff. The Heavenly Lord's soul roared in pain. Explode! After shattering his arms, the old Taoist's avatar spared no effort to push back his legs. They turned into Tao patterns that filled the sky and blasted into the blood-red cliff. After being continuously attacked by the old Taoist's exploding Tao patterns, the heavenly tomb's power exploded on the blood-red cliff. The terrifying power shattered the Heavenly Lord's soul, and it was on the verge of dissipating. Just as the Heavenly Lord's soul was about to be destroyed, he suddenly burrowed into a drop of crimson blood at the core of the blood-red cliff and disappeared. He escaped into the Heavenly Lord's blood. The old Taoist's avatar frowned. Although he had the power to destroy the Heavenly Lord's blood with the help of the 9-dragon jade annulus, this drop of blood was extremely precious. In the entire continent it was the most precious treasure and opportunity. After hesitating for a while, the four-limbed old Taoist gave up on the idea of destroying the Heavenly Lord's blood and quickly rushed to Yi Chunfeng's side. Seeing the four-limbed old Taoist's avatar approach, Qingu Qiu's 3 souls were scared out of their wits. They decisively abandoned Yi Chunfeng and tried to escape. However, the old Taoist's avatar was too terrifying. He let out a sound wave that sounded like a dragon's roar and a tiger's roar. Qingu Qiu spat out a mouthful of blood and his mind went blank. Following that, the old Taoist spat out a soul light that resembled a bolt of lightning. It struck the devil puppet that had unleashed its invincible might and sent it flying several thousand meters away, causing it to suffer extremely heavy injuries. "Senior, please have mercy." Just as the old Taoist was about to kill Qingu Qiu, who had joined the heaven race and inherited their legacy, Yi Chunfeng suddenly stopped him. "Why? Do you still want to spare his life? Do you know that letting a tiger return to the mountains will lead to endless trouble?" The old Taoist's avatar frowned and asked in confusion. "Senior, this Qingu Qiu is still useful. I want to control him." As he spoke, Yi Chunfeng summoned the Soul Eater's brain and controlled it to enter Qingu Qiu's severely injured soul. In the next instant, Qingu Qiu regained his senses and let out a painful howl as he desperately tried to stop the Soul Eater's brain from invading his soul. However, his soul was too severely injured and could not resist the Soul Eater's brain. Soon, the Soul Eater's brain fused with his own. The prodigy of the generation, Qingu Qiu, was completely controlled by Yi Chunfeng and lost his sense of self. Mobile reading site, book address. To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this book. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 942. Qingu Qiu, seeing that you're quite talented, you can follow me from now on. Read the chapter. Yi Chunfeng spoke in an indifferent voice as he looked at the unwilling Qingu Qiu, who was unable to resist his will. "Yes, master." Under the control of Soul Devourer, Qingu Qiu obediently lowered his head and replied respectfully. The scenes unfolding before his eyes left the old Taoist priest's clone with a bewildered expression. He didn't think that Yi Chunfeng was hiding such a great secret. However, this was only a clone, and he was severely injured, so he didn't try to steal Yi Chunfeng's secrets. Instead, he slowly said, "Junior, you're truly surprising me more and more. Do you dare to try and subdue that drop of heavenly venerate essence blood?" "What is it, senior? Is that drop of essence blood dangerous?" Yi Chunfeng didn't know that the heavenly venerate's soul had escaped into the essence blood at the last moment, and he asked in a low voice. "I didn't kill the heavenly venerate's soul just then. Instead, I allowed him to escape into that drop of essence blood, so when you try to subdue that drop of essence blood, it will definitely attack you. However, the heavenly venerate's soul has been severely injured by me, so it can only unleash 1/10,000th of its power at most. If you have a trump card that can restrain souls, then you can give it a try. If you can't subdue that drop of essence blood, then I'll have to expend the last of my power to destroy that drop of essence blood. I'm willing to attempt to subdue that drop of essence blood. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and replied. All right, I'll stand guard for you. If anything happens, I'll be able to save your life with my remaining power. The old Taoist priest's clone said. No need. No matter what happens, please don't help me. I'm confident that I can subdue that drop of essence blood, Yi Chunfeng said with a shake of his head. That's good. Since you have such confidence, I can rest assured. Remember, your life is the most important thing. Looking at Yi Chunfeng's conviction, the old Taoist's clone guessed that Yi Chunfeng had a treasure that could restrain souls. He was relieved and allowed Yi Chunfeng to fly toward the shattered blood-red cliff. Qinggu Qiu, who was being controlled by Soul Devourer, had a complicated look in his eyes. Never in his wildest dreams had he imagined that he would end up in such a miserable state. However, he knew that there was nothing he could do about it. He could only accept his fate. Break! Yi Chunfeng wielded the Empyrean celestial sword. With a ferocious slash, he cut open the blood-red cliff, which was riddled with cracks. He entered and saw the heavenly venerate's lifeblood sealed in the deepest part of the blood-red cliff. What a terrifying power! No wonder it's the natal blood left behind by a mighty figure of the divine clan who cultivated to the Tao Master realm in the Qingyun realm. After hundreds of thousands of years of tempering, the bloodline power it contains is still so terrifying. Yi Chunfeng felt his breathing become labored as he sensed the vast power contained in the heavenly venerate's lifeblood. However, he still opened his mouth and swallowed the heavenly venerate's lifeblood. Junior, how dare you devour my lifeblood even though you know that I'm in it? I'll kill you first today. An earth-shattering roar exploded in the heavenly venerate's lifeblood like thunder, causing Yi Chunfeng's soul to tremble. An extremely terrifying soul entered Yi Chunfeng's sea of soul, causing his soul to tremble. Large amounts of blood flowed out of his 7 orifices. In the next moment, the heavenly venerate's soul, which was tall and muscular, appeared in Yi Chunfeng's sea of soul. It released a fierce and vicious power that bombarded Yi Chunfeng's soul. It wanted to tear his soul apart and kill him. God-Eater Brain, devour! When the heavenly venerate's soul attacked, the God-Eater Brain appeared in Yi Chunfeng's sea of soul, turning into a black space that could devour everything. It released tentacle-like devouring light that tried to devour the heavenly venerate's soul. What is this? Suddenly being devoured by the God-Eater Brain, the heavenly venerate's soul immediately released a powerful soul force. It shattered the devouring light like a tsunami and attacked the black space. Boom! Yi Chunfeng's soul trembled. When the soul force released by the heavenly venerate's soul struck the black space, it immediately produced a terrifying destructive power that made Yi Chunfeng feel as if his soul was about to shatter. His head felt like it was being pricked by needles. Large amounts of blood flowed uncontrollably from his 7 orifices. He was in so much pain that he wanted to die. He clenched his teeth so hard that they nearly broke. As Yi Chunfeng relied on his extraordinary willpower to withstand the pain in his sea of soul, the heavenly venerate's soul once again attacked the black space formed by the God-Eater Brain, wanting to destroy it. If it weren't for Yi Chunfeng's powerful soul, the 2 attacks from the heavenly venerate's soul would have destroyed his sea of soul and torn apart his soul, turning him into a mindless idiot. God-Eater Brain, devour with all your strength. Withstanding the inhuman pain, Yi Chunfeng controlled the God-Eater Brain to wildly devour the heavenly venerate's soul, wanting to tear it apart. Although the heavenly venerate's soul had been severely wounded by the old Taoist avatar and only had a 10,000th of its peak strength left, the God-Eater Brain still wasn't able to tear it apart in a short period of time. And in just a dozen breaths of time, The heavenly venerate's soul attacked the God-Eater brain over a dozen times. Yi Chunfeng was in so much pain that his soul nearly collapsed. After withstanding the fierce attacks of the heavenly venerate's soul, the terrifying God-Eater brain finally began to disintegrate the heavenly venerate's soul. It constantly tore apart the heavenly venerate's arms and body, swallowing them up. Time slowly passed. Yi Chunfeng relied on his unyielding will to endure the most difficult moment. He controlled the God-Eater brain to tear apart the heavenly venerate's soul and swallow it. Haha, I've finally made it. Yi Chunfeng felt severe dizziness in his mind. He nearly fainted several times. But now, he let out a long sigh of relief. The heavenly venerate's life-blood had lost the heavenly venerate's soul and become an ownerless object. However, if an ordinary person wanted to subdue it, they would find it difficult to do so. But Yi Chunfeng had a treasure like the Chaos Divine Wood. He didn't need to worry about not being able to subdue the heavenly venerate's lifeblood. Chaos Divine Wood, devour. With a thought, Yi Chunfeng controlled the Chaos Divine Wood to extend tens of thousands of five-colored root. They broke into the heavenly venerate's life-blood and swallowed it into the tree, forcefully suppressing it. Junior, are you all right? Seeing that Yi Chunfeng had destroyed the heavenly venerate's soul and subdued the heavenly venerate's lifeblood in less than an incense's time, the old Taoist's clone revealed a shocked expression. He was shocked by Yi Chunfeng's secrets. Thank you for your concern, Senior. I'm fine. Yi Chunfeng said weakly as he wiped the blood from his 7 orifices. Junior, you and that little girl are the 2 most talented people I've ever seen. If you 2 can grow up, perhaps you can rebuild the legacy of our human race, the old Taoist's clone said with relief. Senior, there's something that I don't understand. I wonder if you can tell me the truth? Yi Chunfeng asked after stabilizing his injuries. Do you want to ask why I didn't establish the legacy of the human race himself? The old Taoist clone seemed to have seen through Yi Chunfeng's thoughts. That's right. With Senior's strength, I think it's enough to establish an indestructible rank, 9 heavenly kingdom. Yi Chunfeng nodded and said, everyone has their own mission and everyone has their own destiny. Building the legacy of the humankind is not my mission, and my existence is too special. The 3 great non-humankind races all want to kill me, so I can't show up in public. Alright, my clone's energy is about to run out. However, I believe that we'll meet again one day. After saying that, the old Taoist's clone's body exploded, turning into a wisp of soul light and dissipating in the heavenly tomb. Mobile reading site, book address. To make it easier for you to read it next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. You'll see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 943. Qiangu Qiu, put away your demonic body and follow me to a place. Yi Chunfeng ordered as he sent Qiangu Qiu, Ling Yu, and the King of Slaughter into the universe mirror. Young Master Yi, what is this place? Qiangu Qiu's eyes widened in shock as he looked at the picturesque scenery, lush greenery, and rich spiritual energy in the universe mirror. This is my spatial treasure. You, Ling Yu, and the rest can cultivate here in the future. Yi Chunfeng said indifferently. Spatial treasure. Qiangu Qiu raised his eyebrows in shock. Yi Chunfeng had such a treasure. With a spatial treasure, Yi Chunfeng was practically invincible. It turned out that it was just wishful thinking on his part to kill Yi Chunfeng. Qiangu Qiu, go and treat your injuries first. Pass the Tian race's inheritance to me later. I'm very interested in it. Yi Chunfeng ordered as he looked at the injured Qiangu Qiu. Qiangu Qiu could not resist Yi Chunfeng's order and nodded obediently. He went to an ancient tree and started to absorb the rich Ling Qi in the universe mirror. I wonder if the God-Eater brain will form a soul fragment after devouring the heavenly venerate's soul. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and sat on the ground. he controlled the God-Eater brain to quickly refine the heavenly venerate's soul. About an hour later, the God-Eater brain finished devouring the heavenly venerate's soul. Although it did not form a soul fragment, it started its fifth transformation. Large amounts of brain cells split, forming new brain cells. A new subbrain was slowly forming. Once the God-Eater brain finished its fifth transformation, it would form a new subbrain. As the God-Eater brain started to transform, Yi Chenfeng tried to fuse with the drop of heavenly venerate's blood suppressed by the chaos divine wood. Although the drop of heavenly venerate's blood had been tempered for hundreds of thousands of years and was not at its peak, it was still extremely powerful. Soul-devouring art refine. Yi Chenfeng calmed his heart and controlled the God-Eater brain to refine the heavenly venerate's blood bit by bit. He tried to form a third bloodline in his body and increase his strength quickly. Rumble! Suddenly, through the universe mirror, Yi Chenfeng sensed a powerful teleportation force spreading throughout the heavenly cemetery. Guessing that the heavenly cemetery was about to close, he left the universe mirror without hesitation, allowing the teleportation force to teleport him out of the heavenly cemetery. The spatial entrance has appeared. They're finally coming out. When Sha Tianya and the others, who had been waiting outside the 9th level of the heaven staircase, saw the spatial entrance appear above the 9th level of the heaven staircase, their eyes flashed with killing intent. Father, who do you think will come out of the heavenly tomb alive? Sha Bingyun stared at the entrance and asked in a low voice. Both of them are heaven-defying geniuses. Either one of them has the potential to become the final victor. However, from the looks of it, Qinggu Qiu has the highest chance of surviving the heavenly tomb. When Sha Tianya thought that Qinggu Qiu might have the help of the heavenly race's supreme being soul, he thought even more highly of him. Qinggu Qiu has a great opportunity and a great secret on him. However, don't forget that He Yen created 2 miracles in a row. Whether it was leaving his name on the 9 heavenly walls or passing all the trials of the lightning tribulation, it's enough to prove that he's not simple. The secret he's hiding is probably even more terrifying than Qinggu Qiu's. Lian Xing, who was wearing a long robe with a phoenix pattern, spoke slowly. Although her hair was silver, she still exuded a mature charm. Yes, both of them are dragons among men. However, no matter how powerful they are, they can forget about leaving this place alive. Perhaps the opportunity they brought out from the heavenly cemetery will allow us to live for a few more years. Sha Tianya's eyes flashed with ruthlessness as he spoke with killing intent. That's right. No matter who they are, they deserve to die. The foundation of our Xingluo heavenly city cannot be shaken by them. Sha Bingyun nodded and spoke in a sinister tone. Bingyun, I'll leave the task of controlling the formation to you. As long as the forbidden space formation is not broken, they can forget about leaving this place alive even if they have heaven-defying abilities. Sha Tianya said. As he spoke, a blurry figure flew out of the spatial black hole and appeared outside the 9 heavenly step. Immediately, countless pairs of eyes looked over. He Yen, he actually became the final victor. It seems like He Yen has even more secrets than Qinggu Qiu. However, this is even better. Once we kill him, everything he has will be ours. After saying that, Sha Tianyao and Lian Xing flew into the sky, leaving behind 2 afterimages in the air as they flew toward Yi Chenfeng at an extremely fast speed to intercept him. Sha Tianyao, Lian Xing. A murderous light flashed in Yi Chenfeng's eyes when he saw Sha Tianyao and Lian Xing flying toward him. He ignited his dragon bloodline, increasing his soul power 7-fold as he transformed into his beast soul form. He Yen, stop your pointless struggle. Obediently hand over your fortuitous encounter, and I can give you a quick death. Otherwise, I will make you suffer a fate worse than death. Sha Tianya glared fiercely at Yi Chenfeng as he spoke in a sinister manner. Sha Tianya, have you become an idiot? Yi Chenfeng placed his hands behind his back and said mockingly, If I tell you to kill yourself right now, will you die? Sha Tianya's expression changed when he heard Yi Qinfeng's mockery. Flames spewed out of his eyes as if he wanted to melt Yi Qinfeng. What? You're not convinced? Then I'll beat you until you're convinced. Yi Qinfeng sneered. The Tao of life and death gushed out of his body and evolved into the life and death Tao disc. It carried the power of the two extremes of life and death as it flew toward Sha Tianya. You're courting death, Sha Tianya roared. Starlight appeared behind him and turned into a resplendent star that collided with Yi Qinfeng's two extremes Tao of life and death. Boom! The two powerful attacks collided, setting off monstrous waves that caused the entire void to distort. Lian Xing, hold the line. I'm going to kill him with my own hands. Relying on his absolute strength to withstand the two extremes Tao of life and death, Sha Tianya roared and condensed 8 killing halos. Surging killing energy gushed out from his body. 8 Sha Azura technique. Coincidentally, I also know this technique. Yi Qinfeng smiled. He circulated the 8 Sha Azura technique at high speed and condensed 8 killing halos. The killing intent accumulated from blood and bones permeated his body. Where did you learn my Xingluo Sky City's inheritance? Sha Tianya's pupils shrunk as he said in a sinister manner when he saw the 8 killing halos that Yi Qinfeng had formed. Do you want to know? Kneel down obediently and kowtow to me 3 times. Then I'll tell you. Yi Qinfeng sneered. Motherf *Ker, I will skin you alive. After being ridiculed by Yi Qinfeng in front of everyone, Sha Tianya was completely enraged. He roared and attacked Yi Qinfeng with a chilling killing intent. It's still not certain who will die. True Dragon Transformation. Yi Qinfeng unleashed the surging power of the dragon in his body, transforming into a lifelike true dragon that shone with blood-red light. It shattered Sha Tianya's Tao skill and slammed into his body. Roar. As a dragon's roar resounded through the sky, Sha Tianya was sent flying by Yi Qinfeng's true dragon transformation, which increased his attack power. Just as Sha Tianya was forcefully stabilizing his body, Yi Qinfeng came up with the Emperor Sky Banana in his hand. The boundless sword that was filled with the might of the heavenly Tao slashed down on Sha Tianya's body. PFFF. After being hit by Yi Qinfeng's peak-grade Tao skills consecutively, Sha Tianya, who had been careless, was injured. A mouthful of fresh blood spurted out from his mouth. Remember URL. Sanwu Chinese Network. Chapter 944. Injured. The old city lord was actually injured by him. Watermark advertisement test. Watermark advertisement test. Isn't this He Yen a little too monstrous? Looking at the scene of Sha Tianya vomiting blood, the dozens of Starry Sky City's experts who had sealed off the entire space were stunned. Their eyes widened in disbelief as they stared at the scene before them. Junior, I swear that I will grind your bones to dust. Sha Tianya wiped away the blood at the corner of his mouth and erupted with a power that caused the world to change. He held a medial-grade Tao artifact in his hand. It was filled with the power of slaughter, and its hilt looked like ghost wings as he chopped at Yi Qinfeng. Sword steps. As Sha Tianya attacked, a terrifying sword diagram formed beneath Yi Qinfeng's feet. Incomparably sharp sword-based Tao runes flew out and rained down on Sha Tianya. While Sha Tianya relied on his absolute attack to shatter the sword steps, Yi Qinfeng immediately changed his move. He executed the 7 swords of judgment and the Empyrean sword art consecutively, slashing apart heaven and earth as he ferociously attacked Sha Tianya. Why is it these moves? Lian Xing, who was hovering in midair and watching the battle in silence, frowned when she saw the familiar sword diagram formed beneath Yi Qinfeng's feet. This He Yen can't be that person, right? As Lian Xing watched, she could not help but recall Yi Qinfeng's invincible figure when he fought the 3 kings of assassins and killed one of them in front of everyone. If he did all this by himself, then his talent and methods are simply too terrifying. Lian Xing's brows were tightly knitted together. While she marveled at Yi Qinfeng's monstrous talent, she also felt a little pity for him. It was a pity that he was about to die here. Yi Chunfeng and Sha Tianya fought faster and more intensely. Their fierce attacks constantly tore through the void, but they were unable to shake the spatial restriction. Ghost-killing array diagram. As the battle between the two reached its climax, Yi Chunfeng began to multitask. He summoned out the ghost slaughter array diagram that he had obtained from killing the blood demon. A large number of array runes shot towards Sha Tianya, forcibly interrupting his continuous attack. Ghost-killing array diagram. Why is the Tao treasure of the second elder of the true demon clan in your hands? Did you kill him? Sha Tianya's snow-white eyebrows twitched as he looked at the ghost-killing array diagram that was hovering above Yi Chunfeng's head. Not only did I kill him, but I also killed the blood demon envoy. The corners of Yi Chunfeng's mouth curled upwards. Under his control, the vermilion bird cauldron floated out of his body. Together with the ghost-killing array diagram, it charged towards Sha Tianya. Gu Fanxing. Yi Chunfeng controlled the vermilion bird cauldron and the ghost-killing array diagram to attack. Sha Tianya's pupils shrank as an ancient star with dazzling starlight flew out from his body. It kept on expanding as it crashed towards the vermilion bird cauldron with a force of a few 100 million jin. The terrifying force shook the entire void. Gu Dao treasure. When the Gu Dao treasure level Gu Fanxing blocked the vermilion bird cauldron and the ghost-killing array diagram, Yi Chunfeng was multitasking. He wielded the Emperor Heaven's sword and ignited his sword spirit as he continued to attack Sha Tianya. 6 styles of wind and thunder. Sha Tianya stabbed out with his sword. The wind Dao intent and the thunder Dao intent were rapidly deduced, forming a terrifying wind and thunder Dao intent. Each attack was stronger than the last as it attacked Yi Chunfeng. Sword Soul Fuse. Facing Sha Tianya's killer move, the sword soul flew out of Yi Chunfeng's body and fused into the Emperor Heaven's sword. This greatly increased the Emperor Heaven's sword's attacking power as it tore through the 6 styles of wind and thunder. Seeing that Yi Chunfeng had used the power of the sword soul to break through the surging power of the wind and thunder, Sha Tianya quickly stabbed out with his sword. It was like a sword light that pierced through the heavens, stabbing towards Yi Chunfeng's throat. Sha Tianya's sword was extremely fast, but Yi Chunfeng's reaction was even faster. The God-Eater brain quickly deduced and locked onto the trajectory of this sword. He stabbed out with his sword like a hot knife through butter, blocking this killing move. Stun Art. Just as Sha Tianya continued to attack, the soul power that Yi Chunfeng released turned into a terrifying stun art. It was like a heavy hammer that smashed into Sha Tianya's soul sea, causing his soul spirit to tremble and produce a trace of dizziness. Boundless Sky Sword. Sha Tianya's reaction was slightly delayed. Yi Chunfeng immediately slashed out with his sword that was filled with boundless Tao. The terrifying heavenly Tao intent ruthlessly cleaved onto Sha Tianya's body, breaking through his body's defenses and sending him flying. A deep sword wound appeared on Sha Tianya's chest as a large amount of blood flowed out. Heavens, the old city lord is injured again. Don't tell me that He Yan's strength has surpassed the old city lord's. Have you all forgotten? In Xingluo Heaven City, the old city lord is an invincible existence. No matter how monstrous He Yan is, he won't be able to cause any big wave. That's right, that He Yan can forget about leaving here alive. Seeing Yi Chunfeng injure Sha Tianya with a single slash, many Xingluo Heaven City's experts gulped. They were amazed by Yi Chunfeng's monstrous talent and strength. However, even more people were looking at him with eyes filled with death intent. He Yan, I have truly underestimated you. I never thought that you would have such means. Sha Tianya glanced at the sword wound on his chest and his face turned abnormally ugly. He said in a cold voice, however, in Xingluo Heaven City, I am the heavens. Everything is under my control. After he finished speaking, a strange bead appeared in Sha Tianya's heart. When he activated the power of this bead, a powerful force surged from all directions and entered the bead. Fused with the power of Xingluo Heaven City. Feeling that Sha Tianya's strength was rising steadily, Yi Chunfeng's face changed. The sacred thunder of purple beginnings gushed out from his body and bombarded Sha Tianya with destructive power. 6 styles of wind and lightning. As the sacred thunder of purple beginnings attacked, Sha Tianya, who had fused with the power of Xingluo Heaven City, immediately blasted out the power of wind and lightning. It turned into a wind and lightning blade and directly shattered the sacred thunder of purple beginnings. How did Sha Tianya's attack power become so strong? Witnessing the scene of Sha Tianya shattering the sacred thunder of purple beginnings, Yi Chunfeng's face changed slightly. He was shocked by Sha Tianya's strength after fusing with the power of Xingluo Heaven City. It's over. Let me send you to hell. Sha Tianya roared and continued to attack Yi Chunfeng with the power of wind and lightning. 2 extreme Tao of life and death. Boundless heavenly sword. Sha Tianya attacked with a suffocating force. Yi Chunfeng continuously executed his supreme grade Tao skill. However, Sha Tianya was too terrifying. With a raise of his hand, he could shatter heaven and earth. The supreme grade Tao skill with astonishing offensive power was broken by him one after another. Sword steps. After his attacks were broken, Yi Chunfeng immediately used the sword steps to dodge. However, the moment he dodged, a mountain-like spatial pressure pressed down on his body, causing his body to tremble. His movement speed was greatly affected. 9-Dragon Jade Wall. At the crucial moment, Yi Chunfeng summoned the 9-Dragon Jade Wall and poured all of his soul power into it. A ferocious dragon flew out of the 9-Dragon Jade Wall with its fangs bared and claws brandished. With a power that could destroy everything, it charged towards Sha Tianya. Power of Xingluo Heaven City, 8 layers of space. Feeling the destructive power of the ferocious dragon, Sha Tianya's face changed slightly. He constantly mobilized the power of Xingluo Heaven City, forming 8 layers of space in front of him to block the fatal attack of the 9-Dragon Jade Wall. Boom! 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 Earth-shattering cracking sounds rang out. Under the attack of the ferocious dragon, the layers of space were shattered, forcing Sha Tianya to dodge pathetically. When Sha Tianya dodged the attack of the ferocious dragon, Yi Chunfeng suddenly disappeared into the chaotic void. This strange scene shocked everyone present. Mobile reading site, book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record your reading history. You will be able to see it the next time you open your bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support.